Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer by episode 233.
Woo!
And we have come,
Yes, we have.
rather shockingly, to the end of DS9. I'm Chris, and joining me today are...
Ames.
Caitlin.
Jake.
And Liz.
And Liz.
And
Liz.
me.
And
So good
Liz.
to have Liz.
Good old Liz.
Is it?
It is.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
So we're going to dive right in, because as always, we're going to talk about the end of the series, the end of the season, and then the series overall. So it's probably going to be a long one. Sit back, relax, have an iced Rectigino. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I don't either. It sounds like you're trying to seduce the audience.
Ooh.
Like
not working.
Vic.
So in today's two-part, one-part, whatever finale, What You Leave Behind. Oh boy. Well, the Federation and their Romulan Klingon allies have decided time to push to Cardassia Prime and fuck shit up. Damar's resistance movement is beginning to take shape using civilians on Cardassia, and Gul Dukat wanders back into Kai Wynn's life, having been forgiven by the PAH-WRAITHS. So that's happening.
That's a thing that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, just accept this. It has happened, apparently.
Yep. Major strikes happen on power supplies all across Cardassia
Major strikes.
by Damar's people, knocking out long-range communication and such right as the battle's kicking off in space,
Uh-oh.
which ain't good because they can't tell people to move about a bit to shore up weaker lines.
What does what you say about this?
In retaliation, the changeling on site is like, let's fuck with the people, and they just annihilate an entire city, which is some crazy-ass bullshits. Eventually... Does that happen later? God, this is confusing. Eventually, they're captured, the underground, such as it is. The Jem'Hadar show up, and the bastards kill Mila.
Bastards.
And then capture Damar, Garrick, and Kira. In not classic fashion, the villain is like, just fucking kill them. But before they can just fucking kill them, the Cardassians there kill the Jem'Hadar, and they're like, yeah, no, we're really pissed they blew up that city. So then they go to storm the castle, have fun, and
Which
they
is
realize
actually a line that someone uses, is we're going to go storm the castle.
Yes, yeah, when they have their little giggle moment. They're trying to figure out how to get in because they realize the doors they want to blow up are like crazy super strong.
Unblow-upable.
Yeah, but then the Dominion foils itself when the current legate, who, let's be honest, none of us know his name.
Broke up.
God damn it, Ames.
Yeah, I was going to say, why would you ever assume that Ames does not know?
Legate Roca
Broca.
and a couple other... Sorry, what?
With a B.
Oh!
Broca.
Legate Broca.
Tom Brokaw.
Legate Tom Brokaw is, the changelings decided, fuck all Cardassians, and they have him and a couple other guys brought out back to be shot. The Resistance uses that chance to storm in. Damar is killed.
Oh.
They get to HQ, and then there's like a tense standoff where the changing is like, I ain't giving into shit. I'm dying anyway, so really your threats don't bother me. The space battle's going fine, I guess. During all this, the fleet, the Dominion fleet, before that, even though communications are wonky, I guess enough Cardassians on the ships found out that the Dominion leveled that city, so they turn on the Dominion. The Breen and Jem'Hadar ships are called back to Cardassia Prime to act both as a final shield and also start just blasting the fuck out of the surface. They head in, again, standoff. Odo beams down, links with the female changeling. They have an incredibly lengthy conversation in a very short amount of time. She's cured. She agrees to end the war and stand trial. Odo says he'll go back and both cure and talk to the Link. And yeah, that seems like a great happy ending.
Hooray, the war is over.
Yeah, everything's good. They go to have a party. Vic sings. everything, during all this, O'Brien let his boyfriend know, Julian, I've been offered a job at Starfleet Academy because all their professors were killed by the Breen and they're desperate. So he's going to go teach. So it's a, goodbye Odo, goodbye O'Brien party.
What does Worf have to do about all this?
His is later.
His is later?
Isn't it?
No.
No, you're right, it isn't. This does happen at the same time. And Worf is offered a job as the Federation ambassador to Kronos. Fuck you, guy who already has the job, whoever that might be.
Probably dead.
That's what Chris said yesterday, or 2 days ago when we watched the episodes.
So yes, it's a goodbye all three of them party. Jeez. And, so it's like, all right, but there's still a kind of a bit of episode left. What's going on? Oh, right. The fire caves.
Oh, right.
Kai Wynn and Gul Ducky have been walking around there, and Kai Wynn poisons the fuck out of Gul Ducky because they need a sacrifice.
Kills the hell out of his ass.
Yep. But then, as Caitlin pointed out, she's not even good enough for the PAH-WRAITHS, and they possess Gul Dukat again instead, undoing his plastic surgery, and he's Gul Dukat with big red eyes.
Which I hate, by the way.
And Ben leaves the party being like, I know what I have to do now. And then a sort of disappointingly short fight scene occurs.
That's true.
Next time I want to leave a party, that's what I'm going to do. I know what I must do now.
I have to go to the fire caves alone.
Either that or Odo's, my people need me.
Yeah. Well, see, but if I go, my people need me, people might think it's a Poochie reference and get confused why I don't go directly up.
Still a good reference.
A what reference?
The Simpsons. So, anyway.
Oh.
Yeah, no, so, yeah, there's a fight. Kai Wynn gets incinerated.
Jesus Christ, so much.
Fucking Ben is all, you shall not pass, and just goes down into flame while beating the shit out of Gul Dukat. But before he can be kerploded, his ma grabs him and is like, time to come chill with the prophets for a while. And he's like, how long? And she's like, how do you still not get that we don't get time? And then...
Because it's inconsistent, Mom.
Yeah. And then Cassidy gets a vision and he's like, I have to stay with the prophets for a while. Tell Jake bye for me, I guess. And that's pretty much, there's 20 minutes of flashbacks. Not one of which involves Jadzia. I now know what you were hinting at a few weeks ago, Jake. The end, I guess.
And Odo wears a tuxedo.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. He wears a tuxedo to go back to the Great Link.
And Caitlin cried for 15 minutes straight.
That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff that happened.
Yeah, I probably missed something. I don't care. We'll cover it all.
You missed the 15-minute Vic Fontaine solo.
I feel that was implicit.
Yeah, true. Vic was there. There was a song.
It also didn't last nearly as long as I expected. Like, when I saw how much episode was left, because I had forgotten that we still had to finish up with the fire caves, just like the episode seemed to. So I was like, oh no, there's like 25 minutes left. This is just going to be a Vic fucking
excellent, Caitlin.
Singing like 10, he's going to do a fucking 20-minute Frank Sinatra medley.
I don't know. When he reached verse 2, I was like, oh, he's still going.
He's still going.
Okay, thanks,
Nothing
Vic.
outlasts the Energizer, Vic.
So yeah, that was a ride.
It was a ride, and then it felt like the very, very end was just like, oh god, all this needs wrapping up immediately.
Yeah,
what could we have cut? Probably plenty.
Anything with Ezri and Julian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I left that out because fuck all that.
Yeah, fuck them.
God, that was awful.
I actually ended up
love
hating
they
that
wake
less than
up.
I remembered.
They wake up after having done some do.
They've done sex.
Oh man, it would be
no.
a shame if one of us died, if only because we're banging each other and for no other reason.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ezri.
Normally, before we were fucking, I could have, taken or left you, but now I feel like you should not die. Yeah. Yeah, probably could have trimmed that down a little, I'd say.
Yeah, I'll say.
I would definitely have much rather had like a longer goodbye between Julian and O'Brien than any time with Julian and
Ezri.
Well,
Yeah.
if not for that, was Ezri even in this episode?
That's true. Like, there
That's-
wasn't
yeah.
really
Well, she
much
shows
for
up in
Ezri to
Worf's
do.
montage of fond memories of 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
remember last week when we hate fucked? That was great.
No, it's I found that very interesting. It's like, yeah, there really is, like, the only scenes that were in Worf's memory were scenes with Ezri and then him killing Gowron. And I'm like, yeah,
Just from this season.
There's nobody else in Worf's mind that he would be thinking about right now. You know, nobody else important to him.
Picard. He could
would
think about
remember
Picard.
as he's leaving Deep Space Nine.
Well,
Jake-
there were supposed to be members of Deep Space Nine.
Jake, I just want to make sure you're not insinuating that he should have been thinking about, like, I don't know, Alexander or something, right? Because we all know that's not going to happen. Worf could be at the brink of death with his life flashing before his eyes, and he wouldn't remember Alexander. He would remember killing Gowron. He might even remember fucking Alexander's mom.
Oh, he definitely remembers that.
But he absolutely does not remember Alexander.
Yeah, well, exactly. But no, I don't know. I just think I don't know what behind the scenes nonsense led to them specifically not including any Terry Farrell in the ending montage.
Yeah,
but
all I
it's
know
bullshit.
is that she and her manager didn't give permission to use them, which sounds strange because you'd think because it's Star Trek property, can't they use whatever they've already captured?
Maybe
I
it
don't
has to do with
understand.
something to do with the contract or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to
I
say,
don't know.
it might just be because she didn't consent to be part of the that season or something.
I don't know.
So Spite,
Maybe they only got
Spite
one.
is the answer.
They only got one, and they wasted it on a voice thing earlier in the season.
How sure, like, how believable is that reason given? Like, in terms of, like,
That's a good point. It
who's
wasn't
that-
just them being
is it
spiteful.
like, oh, well, they didn't give us permission, or is it we didn't want to fucking use her because fuck her, and, you know, she's a bitch for, I don't know, being a woman wanting things, so
They put
we're
in
not
all
going to use
this
it and blame it on
nice-
her, because you know how bitches are.
Here's the thing. Even if it was her telling them to go fuck themselves out of spite, I say totally
Honestly,
fair.
That's also fair.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, I'd be like, no, fuck Rick Berman.
But I wonder if it's
Yeah.
Berman being Berman.
I mean, either way, it is spite on one side or the other, right?
Yeah.
Either it's the Terry Farrell team wanting to spite Berman, or it's Berman wanting to spite Terry Farrell.
Or they, tried to fuck her, be like, look, we want to use your visage, but we don't want to,
Pay
give
you
you the
for it.
usual royalties for it. And she was like,
like
double
yeah.
bird.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be my wonder. Like, that's what I'm wondering. Like, if I would have to do literally no more work and then just get paid.
I wonder because the citation in Wikipedia was very vague in terms of just how much information it gave, and it said something to the effect of they thought it would require her coming in or something, and that would have been a fuck no. So I
was
don't
just
know. It's
clips.
unclear. I didn't go much further down this rabbit hole because I thought it would be on Memory Alpha, but it kind of wasn't. Or at least it wasn't somewhere where I didn't have to do no digging, which is my preferred style of research.
Says the person who has watched so many random ass movies.
Most of
Goddamn,
them,
why are they
most
always
of them bad,
westerns?
and most of them starring DeForest Kelly.
I wish I saw more DeForest Kelly westerns.
Same.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I thought that was something interesting about this episode as compared to All Good Things, in that, All Good Things felt like, okay, yeah, this is a significant episode, but I get the sense that the adventures of the Enterprise and her crew continue. Whereas with this, it's like, no,
Everyone's
this is
going
the
their
end.
separate ways.
Everyone's going their separate ways. The gang's breaking up.
Yeah.
There was a lot that was very clean. And about that montage, that montage, as much as, montages are, emotional outpourings because it lets you look back and realize, oh, right, that. And then the music swells and you're like, oh, that's sweet. And Jake picks up a chair out of a dollhouse and I was like, oh, damn it, you're so cute. But here's the thing about this montage. I'm not when you have a montage in a show that features aliens that can see through time, but that's not a factor for why you're seeing a montage. I was just why we could have easily had a reason why we're seeing this montage, in that it's Sisko in the fucking Celestial Temple seeing a montage of time, but nope, it's every character having memories.
That they could have
Okay.
totally made another Q sort of retrospective. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
been interesting. Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
it was the crew being sentimental.
Yeah, which is sweet for a finale, but I felt like there was a very easy way to have this montage and still have it be science fiction.
I probably would have grimaced less.
Aw.
I don't know if you saw me I was here in the Zoom call with you, Ames, while I was watching that part of the finale, and it just there was a point where I was just like, okay, I'm watching every one of their kisses, and that's not even the most memorable part of the show for me. Like that, those aren't making me emotional.
Kisses? Which kisses?
Everyone's, literally everyone's kisses, all of the kisses, every single kiss ever. And there are much more interesting and memorable parts of the show that did not involve the kiss. Except for all of Jake's. Everything was Sisko and Jake. Like, watching Jake grow up in the montage, I was like, oh my god, our little baby.
Such a little baby. I forgot how little he was.
Our little baby.
There is one memory in the montage, actually, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Worf and Ezri hanging upside down in captivity?
No. Worf remembering our man Bashir.
I thought the same thing.
He was technically in that.
But his mind wasn't. That was just his physical form.
That's a good point.
That was his
He
likeness.
shouldn't have remembered that.
He looked damn good in that uniform,
did.
and therefore the memory is there.
It's because he was blowing the rings. Great. They were just like, well, that's just so impressive, we gotta include it.
Does this count as proof of that whole, like, the difference between sexual harassment and flirting is, like, if the person doing it's hot? Because we were all outraged when Barclay would play with his dolls that were shaped to look like his crew members, but when Julian does it, we're like, aw.
But he didn't do that.
Yeah, no, that was... They didn't look like his crew members until Rom and Eddington had this insane idea.
Oh, okay. Julian didn't do it on
transporter
purpose.
accident.
Yeah, but then every time he played that program
right,
again, he made his friends be the parts that they were in that because he liked O'Brien always played Eye Patch Man.
Yes.
Eye Patch Man.
Falcon?
Yes.
Yeah, Falcon,
yes.
That's right.
Well, all right, then I stand down.
I was going to save this for later, but since we're on the montage anyway.
Do it.
The thing I fucking loved, because whoever did this, like...
Oh, yeah.
Such a great little tie-in. Because under the montage, it's mostly like instrumental Vic Fontaine music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But...
Because thank God, get in one more fucking shot from Vic Fontaine. Thank God.
But it starts with O'Brien finding the little Alamo piece and all that. And they play a few bars of The Minstrel Boy.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Which is the song he sang with Captain Maxwell way back in The Wounded, which introduced the Cardassians and the whole concept that there'd been like a border war with the episode that basically began all this setup TNG would do for DS9.
Damn, yeah, that's deep. That's a deep
good catch.
Reference.
Like, that was just like, I don't know if the shows had the same composer. If so, then it's still impressive. If they had different composers, holy shit.
Well, also it just sounds Irishy and
yeah, but there's so many
O'Brien's there.
But then it just segues right into Vic stuff for everything. Like, that was totally on purpose.
So we all agree that Ghost Sisko put the little figurine of Travis there, right? As a thank you to O'Brien.
Sure, I like that.
Because otherwise it was gone. O'Brien lost the fuck out of it. Or Molly ate it or something stupid.
Fucking Molly.
Now, Kiriyoshi. He's at that age where you just put everything in your mouth.
Absolutely.
Or Keiko did it out of spite. I'm just kidding. I don't really think Keiko would do that.
Maybe she was just hungry.
P.S. I loved her fucking hair. I thought Keiko's hair looked hot as hell.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Keiko was looking fine.
But yeah, to your point, Jake, that's the thing. When they were finishing TNG, they basically do the final wrap on TNG and then, 3 days later, start work on Generations?
Right.
Yeah.
So, even then, like you said, they even knew, literally, meta-textually, that they would be going on. Yeah, there's definitely a sense of finality with this that it didn't have. And it's we've talked before about how it's kind of unrealistic in Star Trek, how these crews just stay together for so long. Because that's not how it works.
No, yeah, that's not realistic in any team that you see.
Yeah, so the fact that it's people are, this guy got a job elsewhere, somebody else, and that's a more realistic,
Some of us become prophets and go live in the Celestial Temple.
Some of us go and get in a pile of goo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, that's my retirement
We've all been
plan.
there.
I want to know just how spectacularly Worf's tenure as ambassador failed that he was already back on the Enterprise for Nemesis.
Oh, God.
Like how bad? Like just how bad did it go? How many wars did he start?
Oh, what was it? What was the excuse for him being there in Nemesis? I can't remember.
I think in Nemesis he was just there.
Sorry, go ahead. No, he was.
Well, there was the wedding, which
he was there for the wedding,
but
and then
he just stayed on the ship.
Well, I think because it was like they were called to Romulus right away, so there was no time to get him to. Yes, it's stupid. He would have stayed on Earth and taken a shuttle, but
yeah, he was in uniform. Like he was not. No.
Well, the thing is,
Nemesis just forgot that he was made an ambassador.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than Insurrection, where literally it was, Mr. Wolf, what the hell are you doing here? And he gets interrupted before he can explain what the hell he's doing there.
Yeah, that's absurd.
I had read recently that somebody pitched a Worf show as a comedy, and I could totally see the comedy antics of Ambassador Worf.
Oh yeah, I'd watch that show.
I would watch
Be
it.
like Mr. Bean.
Alexander shows up every so often, walks in, knocks over Worf's like house of cards he's building. Oh, sorry, Dad.
Oh my God, a Worf family like 90s style sitcom, like
Honor Matters. It could be called Honor Matters.
Yeah.
I told you.
And Alexander wanders in and is like, did I make that happen?
Oh, God.
Guys,
Alexander as Urkel.
Did I affect change?
Worf HOA would be amazing. I stand by that.
Okay. All right, we got to make this out. Let's start a letter campaign.
Yeah. Let's start writing scripts now.
I'd watch the fuck out of it.
So
And Worf is, and we know Michael Dorn is game. He would absolutely do it in a heartbeat. So
I love the idea of him in full Worf makeup and then like a polo shirt and shorts.
You have been told before, your grass is too high. Pataks who do not take care of their landscaping are without honor.
Yeah, really, I think he most...
I love when Caitlin makes herself laugh.
Oh, shit.
I think he mostly took the gig on Kronos so that he'd stop having to listen Ezri and Julian banging through the walls.
Well, and really because, like, I love that basically Martok was like, you got me into this. You're coming.
And now we're going to go Tard hunting. Woo!
I mean,
Which is
there
fair.
a potential, like, conflict of interest since they're, like, technically,
No, he'll take off
adopted
his...
brothers?
I don't think Klingon culture is really one that's gotten rid of things like nepotism.
Fair.
I thought you meant
That's actually a
for
good
the
point.
Federation. I was gonna be like, don't worry, Worf will take the communicator off before he does anything untoward, and then it'll be fine.
It's like, actually, no, that's probably what it is. Like, it probably had to go to some Federation, like, council of approvals. Like they act like Admiral Ross is the Federation this whole time. Like, he's the one that negotiates the surrender of the Dominion, and, you know, he appoints ambassadors. But there's gotta be other people that actually make these decisions.
It's still Sloane somehow. There
Right.
are several other
damn it.
I was
Sloanes.
picturing like, okay, well, let's do our extreme vetting on Worf for ambassadorship. Okay, how many Klingon leaders has he murdered? Oh, he didn't wear his name badge while he did it, so I guess it's cool.
I mean, I feel like any bizarre politicking in this episode can all be hand-waved as they died in San Francisco.
Oh,
Even
boy.
though the seat of government is Paris, maybe there was a conference that day. We all know in Star Trek, never go to conferences, never ends well.
Well, the seat of government for the Federation is in Paris, right?
I
Yeah.
thought that was just Earth.
But
No, that's the
No,
Federation,
the-
because that's where President...
The
yeah, but
president,
Starfleet
yeah,
is separate.
lives.
Starfleet has its own leadership, and that's in San
Well,
Francisco.
that's
Starfleet's
what
like the
he's
military, right? Like
He's
they're
the
like,
Federation ambassador to
Right.
Kronos, though.
Yeah, there.
Like, military-based stuff, you could say maybe Admiral Ross is one of 5 admirals left. But yeah. They kind of forgot that there's a seat of government here.
I mean,
whoops.
so
It's gonna be a
Kalara
damn
was like
long
wasn't
episode.
like the ambassador. She was like
She was like
the
a special envoy.
emissary.
Yeah.
But I
I do
figure it's
like-
kind of the same deal.
I do like to think that in reality the current ambassador has not been killed, and in fact was just told, hey, you're fired. What did I do wrong? Nothing. Martok just wants his bro to be his ambassador now, so...
Aww.
I mean, that happens in real life with ambassadors.
No, I know.
You just
But
get
it
told,
usually
hey,
happens.
there's a new guy, you're out.
We're getting deep into the weeds on Klingon ambassadors when that was
Yes.
like literally a 30-second, if possibly less scene in the show, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
show to cover.
What we
There is.
haven't covered is the most glaring plot hole of the entire series,
Oh my.
and that is how the hell did
What
old
the hell? Oh,
old
sorry.
Odo from Children of Time
Oldo.
not die of the changeling sickness?
Ooh.
The funky radiation that
Uh-huh.
caused all the time shit somehow kept it
His
from...
Love
The-
for Kira.
Yeah,
Yup.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
Sounds
if he
right.
went back in
Hand wave.
time, then he didn't have it back in time.
Boom. There you go.
Ah, okay. I see how that... No, wait, that doesn't work at
No.
all.
No, it works just
Right,
fine.
because-
It's fine.
Because Children of Time was after Paradise Lost or
Paradise
whatever that
Lost.
episode was.
Yeah.
Because the writers hadn't decided that Odo was diseased, because that came
Yeah.
way later.
Yeah, that's...
Is
yeah.
really what happened.
Yep. So, one thing I think we could have cut some Julian Ezri bullshits for is maybe a slightly more interesting fire cave finale.
Yeah. Oh my.
Like, that felt a bit
so
short.
agreed.
When
It
you
was-
say more interesting, do you mean like something that felt less like an afterthought?
it felt like a fucking afterthought.
It was rushed as fuck.
I kept thinking, okay, here's a question. Because this is the 2-hour finale, but when they have to break it up into 2 episodes, where does the cutoff land? Because I have no idea. Because I actually don't know.
I'm not sure.
It's probably
because-
like...
I kept
Yeah, I
feeling
don't know.
like the end of the Dominion War was half one, and then the rest would be half two. But
Yeah.
then half two was probably about 10 minutes.
Mm.
And I think the episode got a lot of flack, being like, most of the episode is about the end of the Dominion War, and not so much about the end of Deep Space Nine, because the Dominion War, is such a very... It takes most of the episode to get through.
Yeah.
That the fire cave stuff, it does feel like an afterthought. DUKAT just randomly has his vision back for reasons. Maybe because they realized Mark Alemo can't do the blind acting as well as others could have, and they gave up on it. I don't know.
They could have just had him, wrap a cloth around his face, and then you wouldn't have to worry about the blind acting.
They could have had him. Yeah, they could have had him still be blinded in this episode, and then you wouldn't wonder, why did this change?
Yeah.
Or you could have had, even if, I don't know, could he have had a throwaway line when he came back to life and been like, I see now why the PAH-WRAITHS gave me back my vision unexpectedly, so I could be here for this. I don't know, I just feel like give me one fucking sentence. Anything.
That's what he did.
Possible.
The
One
PAH-WRAITHS forgave
sentence.
him.
Wait, hang on. Someone remind me. Wait, when does DUKAT actually get his vision back?
Top of the episode.
Yeah, he
Well,
shows
he
up
shows
with
up.
his vision.
He shows up with his vision back.
Yeah,
Big-
and Kai Wynn
big
says,
swing in
I
the fire
see you
cave.
can
Swing
see
in-
again. No,
No,
top
when
of
he
the
goes to
episode.
her office to be like,
Oh, so he's sitting there in the chair and she comes in.
No, he came into her room.
He came
And
in.
was like, hey bitch, I can see again.
I've watched these all in rapid succession. I shouldn't have.
I'm
This is
also
so
wondering.
it's so
the top
confusing.
it's the top of the two-parter anyway. It's
Yeah.
like he walks in and she's like, yes, I see that you have your sight back. Let's
Yeah,
go to the
that's
fire
dumb.
caves, and
That's
that's,
not
it.
good.
It was not good. No.
That's,
Yeah,
mm.
I mean,
But
well,
it's
here's the thing,
because-
right?
and
So that
because-
assumes that that the vision,
No, the
his
fire caves
vision
are
loss,
stupid as fuck.
it assumes that his vision loss was actually supernatural. For all we know, he did get zapped in the eyes by the book.
Yes.
So it could have just been a temporary thing.
Yeah, but
and-
doctors had checked and said that they couldn't figure out why it was like that.
Yeah, there was no physical damage.
just
they could
overloaded his
Who
eyes.
knows?
see. Prefrontal cortex or
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
Cardassians.
we could assume that if we felt like the writers had given it that much thought, but they didn't. They just said, hey, guess what? He sees
No,
again.
they
It's
didn't.
fine. Don't worry about it.
Cardassians are like Vulcans. They have a secondary eyelid.
Yeah.
There
It's
you
like,
go.
we blew up the Defiant, but we need it again next episode, so here it is again. We blinded Dukat, but we need it again for the finale, so he's not blinded anymore. God damn it.
I really, like, anytime... I was so frustrated with the entire arc there with Dukat and Kai Wynn because I loved seeing them perform off each other. I loved seeing them
great.
fucking with each other. It was great. I like the character moments as individual character moments. I liked seeing all of Kai Wynn's just utter selfish glory mongering, all the things that Kai Wynn does as a monster. Having those moments, justifying them to herself. The lying to herself while just all of that. I loved watching those moments. I loved Dukat's, moments of just like, yes, I'm manipulating people. I love manipulating Bajoran women like a fucking rapist, I guess. But the arc itself, those moments, I had to sit through the fucking Fire Caves arc to get those moments, and I did not appreciate that because I'm like, I'm here for Star Trek.
Yeah.
And you're giving me Mystic Caves.
Yeah, this is like mythical fantasy about demons and angels in a sci-fi show.
But we've already established that religion was important here, even if
that's
it was
the thing.
a sci-fi religion.
I don't argue. I don't have a problem with religion existing as a theme within Star Trek. Than specifically DS9. I enjoyed those moments, especially like the societal like clashing, of like, no, this is our tradition, but this is our interpretation of it. I loved all that stuff, but like this took it so far. Yeah, this took it. This just sort of took it and just like we're just gonna go off and we're just gonna wander away into left field with this of just. But
Liz, the answer was the book. The book was the answer.
The magic tome.
Oh no!
Did the wizards give it there's so much here that's just being accepted as like some real fantasy where like we've just like at multiple points I'm sitting here like this has come a long way from wormhole aliens versus prophets. Like now we're just like it's full prophets.
Now they're all wizards.
And they're all and I'm just like we've departed from like the interesting perspectives on this aspect of the show. And now it's just mystical times in caves with a magic book.
Yeah, I'm there
not even a hint of an explanation behind it that could be, have a sci-fi spin on it.
Well,
even if it's something beyond comprehension or something,
You just gotta picture that guy with the hair going, aliens.
Yeah, you can't. That guy isn't in the show, and the show isn't reminding us that these are aliens. They're reminding us that these are gods. That they're literally gods.
It's really taking it for granted. Like, it's just taking it as a given.
Yeah.
And mom's visits, all of just mom coming in.
Milton.
Why? Why
why
does the mother prophet suddenly care so much about Sisko when she, I don't know. Because she's...
Well, the mother prophet was trapped in the orb.
Oh, and then she got freed.
She got freed. So I first I was like, why is this one so much different than the other prophets we've seen? And I think it's just because she's actually lived as a human for a time and has a better understanding of linear people.
Yeah,
she's lived among the solids.
You did say that.
Yeah.
And
I wish a little bit that we understood Coast Emojin more, because every synopsis I've been reading is like, the final battle between Sisko and Dukat. It's going to be the epic thing that happens at the end of the show. And here's the problem. That's not Dukat. Dukat is dead. Dukat is super, super dead. This is Coast Emojin inhabiting Dukat's body.
But
Dukat
I don't know,
has
because
nothing in there.
No, I think Dukat does. I think that's resurrected Dukat with a Coast Emojin mixer. Because he clearly knows Sisko. He clearly has the same rapport with Sisko
in the episode where Keiko gets possessed. That demon thing could access all of Keiko's memories and bullshit, and could act like Keiko and for all intents and purposes, was also a bit Keiko.
Yeah, but Keiko didn't start dead.
That's a good point.
That we know of.
I don't know. I think
Poor
I think the
Keiko.
implication of the show is that
He was resurrected.
he was resurrected as Dukat, but possessed by.
So he's still possessed, so none of what's happening is Dukat.
Some of it must be. Because they even say, Sisko says, "Where's Dukat?" And his mother says, "Where he belongs in the fire caves," or whatever. So
That's because she's a prophet thing who doesn't understand people.
I will say in that sequence, I did enjoy when they first get there and he's like, "Well, excuse me if I'm being, whatever, but I was expecting fire."
Yeah, that was good. Bartolomeo gives good face.
And then there was fire.
I in thinking about the blindness thing, I actually think they could have. There was really no reason other than for that joke for him to need his sight at all. It would have been just as effective if he stayed blind.
Yeah, agreed.
And Kaiwin's like, listen, the PAH-WRAITHS need your help, and if you want to earn their forgiveness, you have to help me free them from the fire caves, and that's how she gets him to go with her.
Yeah.
And then
Sure.
Yeah,
he
and then
dies, and then he can wake up
with sight.
with new red eye sight.
Maybe that's really what it is. He didn't talk about it. Those aren't his eyes. He killed some Bajoran and had their eyes swapped into his head like Minority Report.
Oh, God.
There you go.
But if there wasn't physically anything wrong, that wouldn't have helped. The PAH-WRAITHS would have kept him blind.
Look, it's a really good surgeon.
Yeah. So Dukat is just somewhere now. I still think he's super dead, because he's not an emissary like Sisko. Why would he survive falling into a fire cave? Sisko is special because he's half prophet, so he gets to live in the white void.
Wormhole alien.
Yep.
Oh my
It's a
god.
lot.
So
You guys, I finally got my Sisko Inferno.
Oh no!
Yay!
Maybe
It's
that's
all
what I can
been
call
worth
this
it.
episode.
God damn it, Caitlin.
That's good.
I thought you were going to call it Minsk.
I was also considering
Don't call
that.
it Minsk.
God damn
Cisco
it,
Inferno is very good. So
Although
anyway, so we got
You're
the
welcome,
Win
Liz.
Inferno is the real
Kai
one.
Inferno.
that was great.
Would you like me to
Ooh.
spoil a comic I'm sure none of you will ever read?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't find it cheap physically right now, but you can get it digitally for a reasonable amount of money. But there was an arc in the Kelvin Timeline comics called the Q Gambit, where Q shows up to Picard to be like, "Hey, Picard," because Picard's there being sad that Spock is dead. He's like, "Spock isn't dead. He's in a different timeline now. I'm gonna go bug him." And Picard's like, "Don't go bug him." And the Q then goes to the Kelvin Timeline. And I don't know exactly what happens, but somehow PAH-WRAITH Gul Dukat wound up in the Kelvin Timeline, and him and Q have to fight.
Oh
No.
boy, this is
Fuck.
complicated.
This is something that was like a published thing.
An IDW licensed comic.
Wow.
Like, not a fan thing.
That sounds like a fan thing, if ever there was one.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Speaking of novels and other apocrypha, all right, so we've got Sisko chilling in the Celestial Temple for who knows how long, because time doesn't exist. Brain fart. And he tells...
It could be a year from now. It could be yesterday.
He tells
Well, it obviously
Cassidy...
wasn't yesterday, dickhead.
But I don't
Yeah.
want to abandon my child and wife outright.
Yeah, so apparently originally Sisko was just going to say, "I live here now, bye." And Avery Brooks said, "Wow, that would really suck that now I'm leaving a black woman to raise a child herself. Doesn't that suck a little bit? Let's
Good
not
job,
do that,
Avery
please."
Brooks. Thank you, Avery Brooks.
So they added in the "I'll be back, I just don't know when because time." And apparently
Hasta la vista, babies.
in the DS9 relaunch series, Sisko comes back for the birth of his daughter, and then they go to live on Bajor together. So really, I'm not going to be long. I'm going to be gone for maybe 7 months. That's not a whole lot of suffering.
Maybe actually 8 months, because at the beginning we have 2 months left of the first trimester. We know this because she's having morning sickness, and he says, "Well, it's only going to last for the first trimester," and she's like, "That's 2 more fucking months. What the fuck?"
Okay. Well,
So 8 months, but still.
I'm saying the baby could have been early.
Yeah, you're right.
That's true.
No, you're right. You're
See,
right.
more interesting story. They send him back, but because time shenanigans, he actually does arrive early, but no one realized it was him because he's like young again. And then he just shows up one day in a hot rod fucking runabout being like, hey guys, I'm cool young Sisko. And it's weird. And him and Jake have adventures solving crimes.
Why are these words coming out of your face?
I'm not sure. They sounded better in my head.
Can we
So you did think about them before you said them.
Briefly.
Interesting.
For that split second before it came out of his mouth.
Noted and logged.
Liz, you were saying something?
Can we talk about the Cardassian uprising? Because I do not remember appreciating Damar quite so much as I did this season.
Tell me more.
Damar is great.
Well, first of all, I love Kira when Kira's being Rebel Kira and like,
Oh yeah.
just at all costs Soldier Kira. I love it. I love hardened Soldier Kira, and I loved her arc eventually coming around to now I'm helping the people who used to be my oppressors to throw off oppressors of their own. I loved that.
That is good.
I loved her. That was in a previous episode, but I loved just her challenging Damar when Damar was really feeling the effects of it and his family was killed. And I loved just seeing Damar go from just, I don't know, kind of ineffective henchman. Like he was just there, when he first came on the scene. As far as I was concerned, he was just there. And you
get the feeling that he got where he was like by luck, not like he ever worked hard for it.
By being
it feels
there.
like he wasn't super committed. He just happened to be random Cardassian number 2 who was in the room, and Dukat was like, "All right, well, with me."
Yeah, and now suddenly you're my protege.
You like Bajoran bitches? Let's go.
And sorry, my neighbors are out on the balcony. It's a great time for it to be on the balcony. But I love that, he failed up, and then once he was there, suddenly he realized he had morals and values and a conscience, and then alcoholism happened, and then he came out of that of just like, no, I have missions and I'm going to do a thing, and then he became like really interesting. I liked all that. Also, I loved seeing Garrick's arc come back to Cardassia. That was fucking great.
And it kind of is a thing, right, that people sort of realize their patriotism, when their freedoms are sort of in question. Like, even when the Dominion was first sort of pairing up with Cardassia, he was still kind of like, And then slowly, as he watched, like, the autonomy of his planet and his people sort of slipping away and their control, that's when he started to give a shit.
Well, once Dukat was gone, because he was always just happy to be Dukat's second. And so when he suddenly had to be like his own person, for a long time, he did not know what to do.
Which is why he drank.
Yeah.
Why he watched Weyoun fuck over his people for a long time.
So much.
Yeah.
Several
then he
Weyouns.
finally figured out what to do.
Yeah, throw Weyoun down a lift.
I loved every time Weyoun dies in Damar, it's like, it's just like, good for you, Damar.
Worf breaks his neck.
good for you.
It's a shame that he couldn't have been there for the final death of Weyoun.
Oh, God.
Which was straight up cold-blooded murder, by the way.
Yeah, it was Garrick, of course.
It's so funny. In my book, both Jeffrey Combs and Casey Biggs are saying, I really wanted to kill the other one. Why couldn't I have killed the other one? And they're like, listen, not everybody gets to kill everybody else.
Wait, who's Casey Biggs? Was that Damar?
Damar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, having them fucking go over the edge of the fire caves together would have been good. You know what I mean? Like, you feel like...
it would have been so good.
Yeah, they got to hang out with each other at Vic's at the
That was cute.
at
I
the
saw the
end.
two of them in the background.
In the background, there was Casey Biggs and Jeffrey Combs out of makeup.
Oh,
Chris
I
pointed
better
out,
go
we
back and
think
watch this.
we're pretty sure Ira Stephen Bear was in there as well.
Everyone was there.
That son of a
Literally
bitch.
everyone,
They snuck in the cast party.
basically.
But
I did also read what's fascinating, because this is Weyoun 8, and he's the last of the Weyoun clones because the cloning center was destroyed. But Jeffrey Combs swears like there's got to be more Weyouns out there because he's so great. And there's a novel somewhere that says yes, there was a Weyoun 9, and now he's Garrick's attaché. And I'm like, yay!
ooh, just smarming all over the place together.
That would be epic. I would watch that buddy comedy. Wait, may I?
Well, I was going to try to segue into that, but yeah, just go for it.
So, so here's my thing about this. I love the idea of Garrick and Wei Yun fun times, but watching Garrick's goodbye to Julian and watching his arc and listening to him talk about how his Cardassia is gone, I think Garrick goes and kills himself. I don't think Garrick survives this series because I think he spent years and years trying to get himself reinstated to be back in the home that he loved, and the home that he loved isn't the home he knew anymore. He's effectively lost everything. His father. We lose Mila, of course, in this episode, and he even says I always kind of dreamed about coming back here, and now his only reason for living is revenge. And once the war is done, I don't know, man. I think he all quiet on the Western Front's it. I don't think he sticks around. Because the way he said goodbye to Julian was really strange, and
it was really despondent. It's not a bad interpretation.
That's my thought, and I don't think you agreed with me necessarily.
I don't want to agree, but I don't have a good counter argument.
I don't want to agree. I don't want to think it. I love Garrick.
There's still plenty of targets for that he could conceivably turn his revenge to.
Yeah, and I'm going to say
after a period of despondency, I think it's entirely valid.
That I believe there's more for Garrick because Andy Robinson specifically believed it, and Andy Robinson wrote a novel about what happens to Garrick.
There we go.
I knew that.
I mean, I choose to believe that he, standing among the ashes of Cardassia, he I don't know, he finds himself in a position to make the best of it and sort of remake Cardassia, perhaps.
I had said maybe he finally, after years of skullduggery and this and that, he turns his talents to good? I don't know. But he works on, because he talks about how their art and culture and all that has just been wiped out, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I got to imagine that, that there's some sort of, Marshall Plan being put in place by the Federation, because otherwise Cardassia is super fucked at this point.
It's a disaster. It has no anything.
They gotta because all of their political leadership is gone. Mm-hmm. Most of their military leadership, I imagine, is gone. What's left is probably a bunch of gulls and legates that are just going to be vying for power. So it's going to be a fucking bloodbath if they're not careful.
Not to mention major population centers.
Oh, yeah.
Just been wiped out.
That
has tremendous effects.
But yeah, they've had, 3 governments in 7 years.
Yeah.
Because there was the government they started with. Then there was, that kind of mini coup, and it was more civilian-led for, a hot minute.
Yeah.
And then the Dominion showed up.
Yeah.
Now the Dominion's gone, but yeah, there's nothing Damar's not there to lead the planet he helped liberate. And he didn't really have, his seconds were Kira and Garrick. Kira's not going to lead Cardassia. Garrick doesn't want to lead Cardassia.
Not from the front.
Yeah, most of the other, sort of rebellion was destroyed. There is no obvious
We should bring back Natima.
Who was that again?
Quark's old girlfriend. She was great.
Oh yeah, she was great. I liked her.
Yeah, and she'd actually been considered a dissident by the military-style government.
They tried to offer the new leadership to one guy, and his response was, "You flatter me, sir, you flatter me."
Oh, man.
I hope he survived.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so, too.
But yeah, maybe Garrick starts a museum, saves what art and culture he can.
That'd be a good calling for him, yeah.
I like that idea. I mean, the way I think of it with Garrick is that I mean, at least in other spy fiction and other, or even spy reality, when this sort of like subject comes up, you have, for someone to be willing to do the work of espionage, to just throw your entire life into that and make that just that's all you're doing 24/7. There's no break from it for long periods of time. The kind of person and personality it takes to do that really has some deeply set principles and values and a version, a kind of patriotism that we definitely see it in Garrick, and a lot, and when that kind of snaps back at them like a rubber band is when there's some failing on what they were relying on, when their government does something utterly wrong, or it fails them personally in some way, individually, or something, or when something like this, when it all just falls apart, and suddenly he is an instrument, but without direction, and now without anything to come home to. Like, what was it all for? That, and he's been, not to mention with him, it's been the exile. I feel like, though.
Plus, his boyfriend's got a girlfriend now.
Oh, God, yeah, no. But I feel, it's never happened before, though. But I think, Caitlin, I think your trajectory of him is the most likely, but I think there's also, it could very easily be interrupted. Like, all he needs is for someone to remind him, like, hey, we're rebuilding, you can be useful in this way. And I think that would basically pull him back from the brink.
He definitely, even if he lives, I don't know that Garrick exists anymore.
He's only
something has broken.
Like, literally and figuratively, like, I could definitely see him, going by a different identity, maybe even getting a little plastic surgery, who knows?
Oh, they like that.
Like, I feel like it would have to be sort of a semi-literal
transformation.
Thing, Like, I think Garrick has to go away now. He has to figure out who he is in this new world.
I think that's valid. I also think that he would want to have...
I really want to read the Robinson book to see what he thinks happens next.
I actually would love to read that, too. Can we have our first ever Star Trek book club?
Ooh.
We could.
Do it.
We probably won't, but we could.
Oh, come on, let's do it.
Do it.
I know it's hard to get physically. I don't know if it's available.
Really?
It's $9 on Kindle.
Is this one a Stitch in Time?
Yes.
Yeah. Caitlin already found it, but I already have it. I just have to
read it. Give it to me.
For $210.25, I can have the entire series on Kindle.
Oh, perfect.
Dude, woof.
The entire what series?
The Deep Space Nine.
Oh.
27-book series.
Oh,
Jesus.
That's a lot of books.
I do know.
But I'm going to buy A Stitch in Time. I'm buying it. We have to read it, okay?
Well, I can't use it if it's on your Kindle.
No, you buy your own copy. $9.
Just throw the money down.
Andrew
Robinson will get some of that money. Give your money to Andrew Robinson.
Yeah, give your money to Andrew Robinson. Exactly.
Fair. The one thing
guys, I already own it.
Perfect.
Oh, look at that.
Wait, what? Did I buy this already?
Probably.
Sorry.
It probably came up at some point.
Oh, I bought it in April. All right,
So,
good.
There you go.
Before we move on, the one thing that I do know is in that book. I'm going to spoil this book for Caitlin now.
No!
One thing that I do know that Andy Robinson kind of always believed and decided to make it for sure in this book is that Mila is Garrick's mother.
Okay.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which
I think
I'm
that's
super
a nice
into.
touch.
And I think her death was just heart-wrenching and like...
Oh, it was.
You realize, oh God, she's dead. Oh God, Garrick's sad. And then it's a lot. It's a lot at once.
Yeah, no, they definitely put him through the ringer in this one. And the galaxy is super lucky that the Federation lost a lot of its admirals in the assault on San Francisco. Because if there was any time all the evil admirals could have gotten together and be like, guys, it is time for us to push, it's now. Because the Klingons are fucked, the Romulans are fucked. Like, the Federation ain't doing great either, but it sounds like they might still be one of the more powerful forces in the quadrant. And if they really wanted...
Is the Breen okay?
I'm surprised. I'm a little surprised that the Breen just kind of went along with the surrender. Like
They were promised all these planets.
I
They were
know.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or maybe-
They were going to change everything.
maybe without the Dominion, they just don't have the forces to continue the fight or whatever.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, and their, the Federation cracking their energy
Their special
drain
weapon.
weapon.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Breen just got dropped entirely after having changed everything.
Yeah, well,
Kira-
they didn't get dropped. I mean, like, the changeling lady just called them, like, yeah, about that whole war and
Never
all that
mind.
stuff we were gonna
We
get.
done.
Yeah, we're gonna surrender. So, you might just want to fuck off back to wherever it is you're from.
Breen, I'm sure.
The planet Breen. Because, the Federation doesn't want you hanging around anymore.
Kira has now seen 2 dead Breen and lived to tell the tale.
Kira has just has a closet full of Breen outfits. now.
But yeah, no, like the state of the galaxy after this is a fucking mess, really. Like the 3 big names in the Alpha and part of the Beta quadrant are all just like, what?
What's going to happen in the Gamma Quadrant now that the Dominion seems to, like, I assume, are they going to stop controlling the Gamma Quadrant?
I assume that they're just gonna continue doing what they were doing.
Kinda, but I mean the implication is definitely there that as a people they are going to be changed by Odo returning and bringing new understanding of the solids.
Yeah, they might not be as like belligerent as they were, but I assume that they will still be a major political player in the Gamma Quadrant.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Let's talk about this big Odo 180 from I love Kira, I'm going to stay with Kira, to fuck off. I'm going I'm going home now. Bye.
He never would. He never would have done this. This is not. I don't think he ever would have done this.
I mean,
It
I
didn't feel earned.
think the only thing that I think makes me kind of understand is that, they were dying.
Yeah.
Well, sure,
And,
yeah,
like,
that part.
Saving
don't have
his
to
people.
stay.
No.
Yeah, we don't know how long it's going to take.
Well, he
for
kind of
everything
does have to stay though, because if a kernel of what female changeling was doing still survives there, there'll be a problem again in no time. Someone has to be there to make sure that they're not sort of up to their bullshit again, and presumably that's what Odo thinks he's going to do, since he's some big justice monger.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, if his whole thing is going to be like, here, let me show you how good the solids really are, they're also going to hear from him about how he got sick and how they got sick in the first place. So
Yeah, exactly. And the way he was treated in captivity, and the way he was mistrusted,
But
and
who cured
and,
him and who cared for him?
Just Julian.
Yeah.
Hashtag not all solids is all I'm saying.
that's true.
Wow,
I mean, it's not
just
gonna
like a solid to bring that up.
It's not
Way to
gonna
play the solid card.
I mean, like, it's not going to be easy, but I think he's kind of fulfilling in a way what was his purpose from the perspective of the Great Link, which was
which is nice. It's
getting information and bringing it back.
It's a good completion of his character. What I don't follow is why he has to stay 100% of the time and can't, take a weekend to visit Kira.
Once he's there,
Ever
he probably
in his
isn't.
life.
He probably isn't going to want to.
That's
Yeah.
We
that's
know
really,
that the
Yeah.
link is sort of always been drawing him, and we know that it is like the most intimate thing and the most whatever mind-blowing thing.
Yeah, it's
Once you're there, leaving it's got to be like having a piece of yourself literally removed.
Yeah, it's something he's been resisting since the first time he tried it, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and we
It's
know
like-
that when the Dominion controlled the station and the chain, they were linking a lot, it consumed his thoughts. Like he couldn't function properly outside of the link, and
For days at a time, he would just be...
just
I mean,
and
listen,
that-
he
linking
was
up.
so desperate for the link, he was willing to link with fucking mama covered in fucking deli ham changeling lady.
It's like I think you're gonna be like literal space Hitler, but no, it's the thing that we're gonna say about her is that she's covered in ham.
Okay, what would you say she was covered in, Jake?
I mean, I mean, it's clear. I mean, I'm not going to argue.
Aside from the guilt, oh yes, of course. Aside from the guilt of the genocides she's done,
right?
Her hands are dirty, and so is her dress. It's covered in ham.
Her hams are dirty.
The less said about her hams, the better.
In this case, here's my question. So Odo is going to the link specifically to like remind literally every other changeling in existence, hey guys, solids are okay. Let's not like torture them all the time. Let's not try to take over
just
everybody.
some of the time.
Yeah, just a couple solids. That'll be fine. If he's trying to prove to them that solids are okay, but now is never going to see solids again, how has he just proven to them that solids are okay if he's now cutting them out of his life?
It might. I mean, I feel like it's more of an indefinite timeline than a permanent timeline. Like, and indefinite in terms of it might be decades before I go out and see more solids again. But maybe in the meantime, others are going to leave the Great Link to go and meet the solids and come back, and some weird stretched out timeline over the course of all of this.
Then Kira could visit.
Yeah, Kira totally could visit. No, I don't think that there's.
Yeah, but where the fuck is she gonna stay? That one rock?
Yeah, she's gonna sit on the rock.
That rock was like the only thing they have. What are they gonna?
No, except that rock is probably other changelings.
Yeah, but now that they're not going to be bringing in funds from like Conquering, they're going to need to boost their tourism industry. So they're going to clearly build a link side retreat.
That rock is getting gentrified.
It's gonna be like signs all over the place. Be like, don't step on the mome raths.
Oh god!
They're
don't pee in the link.
Friggin',
gross! No.
Friggin' busloads of tedious British tourists who like can't get a good cup of tea out here.
Before Brexit, I would have been able to travel here with my normal visa.
Did you vote for Brexit? Yeah, why?
Of course I did.
Don't want any of them bloody changelings in my backyard, do I?
Speaking of the not in my backyard assholes, so there's some criticism of this episode that we never resolved will Bajor make it into the Federation?
Literally, who cares?
I actually had that thought though. I think that like, considering the entire premise of having Starfleet at Deep Space Nine was to kind of prep Bajor for being in the Federation, I think it would have been a nice touch if one of the things that had happened at the end was they got admitted. Even if it wasn't in this episode, if it was like earlier in the season.
Well, Jake, we could have done a lot more at the end if we hadn't spent a whole fucking episode on Sloane and his stupid asshole brain.
Oh, that was weird.
We totally could have seen how DUKAT got his eyesight back.
Yeah.
We could have seen Bajor being what do you call that?
Inducted.
Inducted. Thank you into the Federation.
What's interesting is that it seems at the end, Kira's now in charge, but there is still a Starfleet presence because Nog's there. So, like, it's unclear, does that mean they're going to work on pulling out? Or are they eventually going to send a new Federation person? Like,
I'm assuming that Bajor, now that Kai Wynn is gone, I'm assuming Bajor is inevitably going to wind up in the Federation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It's like they're... Because... What about Shakar though? Like, is Shakar still around, or did he die or something?
No, he's still around. He gets referenced.
But do
you think he starts sending more like "Do you like me" notes to Kira?
God, I hope
no! Now that
I hear
Odo's
you're
gone,
newly single,
and you can't visit him ever again for reasons. God damn.
No, I would honestly rather fucking Mirror Barile come back. He was much better for her.
That's kind of fun.
I'd rather Robo Brain Barile come back.
Oh no.
Speaking of never visiting our friends ever again for reasons, so we got the wormhole and I assume it's open now. Could Cassidy just go visit Sisko in the wormhole? Bring an orb with her? Be like, hey, got some Sisko treat here?
I guess I sort of assumed that the wormhole opening was meant to signify that he was coming back. I don't know if anyone else read it that way, but that's what I kind of thought maybe it meant.
I don't know. See, the thing that the prophets tell Sisko in one of his 8,000 goddamn visions is getting with Cassidy will bring nothing but suffering for you specifically, Sisko. You will never find happiness on Bajor. If after throwing a PAH-WRAITH possessed DUKAT into a wealth of fire, he just gets to come right back home and be happy, then the suffering hasn't happened like they promised, and they know everything because they can see through time, and God fucking damn it.
But surely spending all that time with the prophets isn't him suffering. Like, I would imagine it to be closer to sort of the Christian ideal of heaven, of like basking in the glory of the Lord for the rest of eternity, which is not suffering. It's nirvana.
Exaltation.
The prophets seem really boring.
Yeah.
The prophets got real dumb at the end. The prophets just became ominous, godly-ish figures that, were something out of a cheap fantasy. Like, before, early on, when it was, are they prophets or wormhole aliens? Well, to be their prophets, well, to be blah, 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 blah. They were very much like, you are so beneath our understanding, and so beneath our concern in so many ways. Why are we even interested? Now it's like, we have put all of this interest in you, and we always have, and we have a plan, except sort of, and
it's in this book. If you destroy the book. Yeah.
And we're trying to persuade you to do these things, or we're trying to convince you of this, or we're trying to warn you of this thing that we want you to do. So before it was just sort of like, what are these tiny creatures in linear time? Well, they were so much more interesting before, and here it's just, they just show up to be like, the Sisko is not of Bajor. The Sisko is this, and I fucking hate it.
What if the prophets have been gone all this time, and that when their visions started getting fucking stupid and trying to like tell Sisko how not to live his life, what if that was the PAH-WRAITHs? What if the prophets are actually gone? What if they actually have lost, and all of this for the last however long has just been the PAH-WRAITHs being up to nonsense? Because we already know that the PAH-WRAITHs we know that the PAH-WRAITHs understand how prophet visions should work, because we watched them do one to Kai WINN. And we also know that at one point there was a marked change from, well, mostly just probably from sloppy writing.
Yeah,
but
that one. That's the one.
There's that.
The visions changed.
And filming and editing.
So what?
I like your interpretation, Caitlin. I like you got some good ideas.
What if it's been the PAH-WRAITHs the whole time?
I want that to be any DS9 revival should start with that premise.
Because also, that would explain the suffering. If Sisko can't leave, it's because he's fucking being tortured by the PAH-WRAITHs now.
Well, wait, is it also possible, though, that Mama is the only prophet
one left? That's what I was about to say.
Maybe when DUKAT killed
whatever
Jadzia and turned all the orbs to stone, if that just killed all of the other prophets. And
that's a really good idea.
Are the orbs prophet poop?
Yes.
Got it.
No more. Further questions.
Actually, no. They're prophet snot, where they periodically do a snot rocket out of the wormhole.
So
it just lands on Bajor.
Jake, I can't remember because I know we've done so many episodes. If we did discuss this, we'll just stop and I'll cut this. But did we ever discuss your conspiracy theory? Salome Jens playing both the female changeling and the messenger from the chase.
I think
we definitely
have talked about it a little. I mean, I feel like we've touched on it. I don't know if we've gone into depth on it, but the idea that the progenitor species of all solids is also what evolved into the changelings, and that's why she looks the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be kind of funny if they had paved the way for all these species they would later come to despise, and even they had forgotten that fact.
It's also, I had another thought along those lines, maybe the reason why the female changeling takes that form is because that is the most basic solid that you can make, and it just so happens to also be the ancestor species.
See, that's interesting.
Some sort of, if we get a bit of Assassin's Creed on it, it's an old racial memory lurking somewhere in the DNA. But yeah, I do like that idea. I mean, the chase and everything related to it is stupid, but since it exists and that connection is it's fun to run with as just like, did you people create the galaxy and then get mad at it?
I mean, it's possible, right? Because they even said, I feel like it was said at one point that the changelings weren't always changelings, that they used to be solids and that they evolved into changelings. So it is quite possible that they're just a much, much older species. And
they do have skills with genetic engineering, we know.
Yeah.
Going
back to Odo specifically, though, I was thinking, part of him going back to the link is fulfilling his initial purpose as
that's what I was saying,
yeah. So, like, if he does go back and teaches the link about solids, it's interesting, like, so clearly by the time of DS9, the changelings despise solids. But it's interesting to me that they would have even bothered sending out the 100 babies to be like, yeah, go live with these people that are total assholes that are going to probably kill you because they suck.
Yeah, it's a weird choice. I mean, unless they were just thinking of it as an intelligence action.
Yeah.
Where is Loss, and is Loss okay?
Loss died of the changeling virus.
God damn it, Loss.
Unless Odo somehow happened upon him on his way back to the link, I don't see any way that Lost survives.
Well, so you're saying heading back to the Great Link anyway.
All hope is lost for Lost.
I don't think he was heading towards the Great Link. He was heading out to find other changelings.
Yeah, the babies specifically.
So he's going to go. So if he finds them, he's going to also infect them with the virus. And
that maybe is part of why Odo can't be back for a while. Like, step one, guys. So we gotta find Loss and keep him from.
Yeah, remember that time I accidentally killed a changeling? Well,
about that, and Loss would be an interesting person to bring back because Odo lived among the solids in a humanoid way, whereas we know Loss was a humanoid. He was, he lived with animals. He probably spent time as a plant. He can do crap we have not seen other changelings do, and I think I suggested at the time that maybe even the changelings have forgotten how powerful they are because they've mostly been being linky and dominion-y and
just hanging.
Imagine living as a fart. I wonder if he's ever done that. Just go into an elevator as a fart and see who gets blamed.
I live in a house with two men. I sort of can imagine how it feels to live as a fart.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Wow.
What if the fart that you smell from the two men is neither of them? No, what if it's Lost just hanging out having a laugh, being like, ha ha ha.
I don't
They're all going to think it was the other one.
I don't want to smell farts anyway, but I also definitely don't want Loss floating in and out of my nasal passages. It's kind of horrific, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, while we're on the Odo tangent, Odo adjacent topics, we have this cute quasi goodbye scene with him and Quark.
Oh yeah,
which I didn't realize happened because when I read it on Memory Alpha, the way that it was worded was like they don't get a goodbye, and I'm like, oh no, they don't get a scene together, but no, they get a scene together. It's just not a quote unquote goodbye scene, because they love each other so much that they can't be over.
Oh, we got one last from Odo. It was so good. I was like, thank you, Odo. I love you.
That thing, too, I was kind of thinking with this, part of it may have been a certain amount of selfishness on Odo's part. Not being able to deal with the idea of watching Kira grow old and die.
Oh, gosh.
Because that is one thing. We don't know. It seems like if you don't leave the link too often, or at least don't get kerploded, near Odo, changelings are effectively, if they're not immortal, they at least have insane lifespans.
Okay, but what is it really worse? Is it really that much worse to watch someone you grow old and die than to know that they're growing old and dying and knowing that you wasted that time?
I mean, Odo has weird logic sometimes.
Yeah, but he loves Kira. I mean, that's been the through line for 6 seasons or something. I just find, and I understand that, like, it was a noble sacrifice to end the war and this whole shit, but I just don't see it. I don't think he'd do it. I just don't think he'd do it.
So
He committed a dream world genocide so that Kira would leave and go have her life.
I agree.
I don't know. I just don't. It doesn't feel like something he would do. And I understand why it was the thing they did to make it all work out. But here's the thing: they could have just locked what's her ass in the bridge, had Odo changeling into her, and order the Breen to fucking cut the shit. Like there was no need for any of this. You literally have
That's
a changeling.
true.
You have a literal changeling right here.
How awful would it be if they ended this show without curing that, though?
It'd be pretty fucking bad.
I mean, it will. Okay, it would.
That would be a genocide.
On the other hand, can I offer you the fact that what's her ass was going to genocide every single fucking
Cardassian?
But should an entire population on a planet suffer because of her?
I don't know, probably. They're probably into it. I don't know. I don't think so. Listen, Liz, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I just you're asking me on the spot here whether or not I think they should have let this happen. And
well, this is like, I mean, this is what I found also interesting about the Cardassian, like the Damar and the Garrick aspect of the finale of this final arc is. I mean, there was definitely, especially watching, like, as an American citizen, though also there, I feel like, you know, that first city being leveled had undertones of, like, Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Hiroshima, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
but, like, definitely just this complicated relationship with your nation, I guess, for lack of a better word, even though we're talking entire planetary government. Who, like, which you are of. It is part of your identity. There are aspects of it that you hold dear and that you love. But at the same time, and it has made wonderful things and it's full of wonderful people, but at the same time, it has done horrible things. And so much of what comes back on it right now, it brings on itself, and you're a part of that. But at the same time, you know, you're not the one making those decisions. Like there's that mix of the sins of the greater whole that you are a part of, and also like the fact that it's not all black and white. And I really like that aspect, considering how monolithic so many of the species are in Star Trek, and how often they're depicted as a monolith. And here there was so much talk of, you know, like, here's what's beautiful about Cardassia, and here's why I fight for it and why I love it. And why I want to fix it and repair it. Versus, like, the Cardassians have been just pulling this shit all this time. They've been doing all sorts of horrible things, and this is the chickens coming home to roost. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around the Great Link in the same way, because, like you guys mentioned, you know, however long ago they sent out the 100, you know, in some exploratory way, which is very Starfleet of them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to imagine, like, you know, it's this one Great Link, but it's a bunch, they're not a Borg. They're a bunch of consciousnesses and that make up the whole consciousness, or the consensus, really. So at some point, the ruling consensus that started somewhere in that sea was, let us explore and learn. And then at some point, the consensus shifted to, let's dominate and control. Yeah. So there's a potential for both in there. Which is why they don't deserve a genocide. They
weren't expecting return on investment as soon as they got it either. Like, I feel like they mentioned when they finally met Odo, like, they hadn't been aware of the wormhole, so...
Oh.
Like, there is an episode ages ago now where they were like, we were not expecting anyone back this soon.
Yeah.
You're early.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking Odo, always coming early. No way.
And as we know from Lost, like, he wasn't even... the first of the 100 to, like, become,
to be sent out.
Well, to become, like, aware of things, because Lost had been around for a lot longer. As a person versus Odo, who's only been around for, you know, less than a human lifetime.
Yeah. Good thing Odo found out that he was really good at justice, because he's not great at being a changeling.
No. Well, he's new to it, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
I want to read a very quick note before we move on, because we should probably start leading into next stuff soon.
Oh, I guess.
The note I took was, the enemy of my enemy is Cardassians. Just every time.
It's interesting how, without sanctioning or approving of what they did, in a weird way, Section 31 is now responsible for ending that war, considering they use the cure that Julian ended up finding as a bargaining chip, which they wouldn't have needed if there wasn't a disease.
Of course, that was a unilateral decision by Odo.
Well, yes. So, and which
for him.
Nobody would have approved of otherwise, but...
And getting the cure was unilateral decision by Julian.
Yeah. So needless to say, they failed into a successful way to end the war.
That didn't involve profits somehow.
Right. So, fuck them, but also, if they had not tried their bullshit, it's likely that the changeling would not have agreed to end the war, and it would have been a bloody mess for much.
Well, then it would have been Odo just would have impersonated her and called the war off.
I just don't see why we couldn't have done that anyway.
Well, Odo would have been dead, right? Well, either Odo would have been dead or she, if they hadn't found the cure.
Oh, I'm assuming in this, I mean, the disease had just never existed.
Oh, if the disease had never existed at all, then I don't know what would have happened.
The
right?
Dominion would still be winning.
Is this, holy shit, did they make this using the information about the quickening disease? Is that what we should be thinking that they did?
No,
because weren't they super interested in what Julian was doing with that?
I think they were interested in it, but I think that the changeling virus predates what he learned about the quickening.
Did it?
Okay. Because he was infected at Starfleet.
Because that would have
took
been
an interest. Yeah.
Go ahead, Liz.
Well, I think the implied interest in that was in his capability of finding a cure.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, because it seems otherwise it would be really weird that they were so much curing the quickening. Are you I don't know. Okay, fair enough. That's fine. I accept that. That sounds.
I think it was this guy's pretty good at curing diseases. What the fuck?
Yeah.
See, I assume everything Section 31 does is just to fuck with Julian, so...
Well, I also think part of it was to be at least the way they framed it in that episode was in the context of they're doing this investigation to see if Julian is a Dominion spy. So all of the questions about the quickening were why were you helping these Dominion citizens? What's up with that?
That's right. Yeah.
So, I had two things I wanted to say about Wayun before we move on.
God, contact lens?
Well, no. That first, I guess.
Oh, yeah, there was this scene where his eyes are pointing in different directions.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah,
Why didn't they just refilm it?
Maybe they didn't notice until after they'd shot it.
How could you not notice?
Well, you think he would have said, guys, I can't see.
I can't fucking see.
Someone had to be the man looks like a goddamn chameleon.
If they'd at least fixed it, if it snuck into one shot and he was like, oh, oop, you know what? And then they fixed it. But no, it was 3 or 4 different close-ups of just this motherfucker with his eyes going in separate directions. What the shit?
So we can see predators behind him.
But the other thing...
Apex predators, like Ezri Dex.
Yeah, Canadian. There was one moment where I was very offended on Wayun's behalf, where his boss was all you're a little bitch, and it's that's how you made me. You didn't make me to be courageous. You can't make me to be a sniveling bureaucrat and then get mad at me when I work the way I was intended to. Ooh.
What was the second thing?
The contact lens.
Oh, what was that?
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay.
My apologies.
But
that does remind me of that. I think it was that scene when the Changeling Commander is the only solid I ever trusted. Just it was I was actually kind of happy for Wayun because they're he lived for that moment.
Yeah,
good for him.
In the end, his god loved him.
Well, liked him. Let's not go too far.
Decided he was all right.
Yeah, made a good cup of tea.
You're one of the good ones. You're the only good one.
I mean, again, it is, one I literally made. But again,
Yeah, really. She's like, oh, yes, my greatest accomplishment. Well, but to be fair, like, if you assume that God creates all and has favorites and talks to people,
that's
it's
true.
not really that different than modeling humans from mud or
Thank-
whatever.
Much
Thank
like
good-
Sarah and Sisko.
Thank goodness they decided that Vorta are cloned, because almost every time you see someone else as a Vorta, it just looks wrong. Like, somehow Jeffrey Combs could pull off that weird fucking look in a way a lot of other people couldn't.
It's because he can pull off any look.
Basically.
Because,
think-
as Ames said, he in fact is a chameleon.
Like, I feel like him,
Not just his contacts.
the Vorta from the ship,
I was gonna say the ship. I think
and
she
I
came
think
close.
the original Vorta, too, she also, like, it's like, yeah, I feel like I think the thing is, like, the Vortas it works for have sort of wider faces. And whenever it's a thinner face, you're kind of
Like Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop.
yeah, like
has
Iggy
that.
Pop's looked a little weird. Like even the guy that winds up, he's thumping into a wall in Empok Nor
Oh,
somewhere.
I thought he looked
Oh,
good.
I
Yeah, I
like
thought
him.
Ivan. I actually
Okay,
thought he
he-
was a cool looking.
it
Yeah, he
worked for
looked
him,
good.
but again, when you think about it, wider face.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think that's the key is you need a wider face for that makeup to not look completely bizarre.
Just like you need to have a pretty long neck to be a good Cardassian.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because there was that one woman who had a really short neck and it looked really fucking weird.
You gotta have really good eyebrow control to be a Vulcan.
True.
No, you don't. They just paint them on for you. New ones.
But yeah, but to move them right, you gotta...
Oh, well, yeah.
You
But
gotta get
no
'em.
one has ever worked a Vulcan eyebrow
Yeah.
with the
If
skill and dexterity of Leonard
Dwayne
Nimoy.
Johnson ever wants to return to Star Trek,
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Oh my god, he'd be a great Vulcan.
Ooh.
He's got the fucking people's eyebrow. That's how...
That's a beefy Vulcan. That is a Ston level Vulcan.
It's even
That's
more
coming
than
up later.
Ston. It's like Ston on drugs. I would love to see The Rock as a fucking Vulcan. Holy shit.
It's just hard to imagine him not being all smirky, though. Like...
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Maybe he's
Uh,
Vulcan crossed with something else.
Wrong
Maybe
one.
he's... maybe we can have a Cybok prequel series, because we know that motherfucker loves to laugh.
Actually,
So
that would be
just-
funny.
You're a Vulcan.
The idea of The Rock aging
Turning into
into
Cybok.
Lawrence Luckenbill.
Lawrence Luckenbill is like, I mean, it's like, how did you
let himself
lose
go.
a foot and a half, brother?
He really let himself go. Yeah.
you could call him Cy Rock.
I love it. Oh man. You think we'll ever get Cybok on either Strange New Worlds or
Oh God, no.
Discovery?
No,
always
no,
possible.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I mean, we probably will because,
The
These
writers
shows
are
are never
hacks.
these shows are never going to end.
right, exactly. Eventually, they'll have to do it.
It's season 43 of Discovery. Michael finally is like, "Oh no, my other brother, Cybok."
I don't think Michael knew about Cybok.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Cybok is so much older than Spock that,
Yeah, no,
and like Sarek isn't gonna talk about.
I don't
Cybok.
think Amanda knew about Cybok.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Okay, we're talking about Cybok. We should probably,
Yeah, let's get out of here.
I just man. I'm really sad that Deep Space Nine is over, because I don't think based on what I know about how people feel about Voyager and Enterprise, and being that I've seen everything after that, I feel like Deep Space Nine is as good as it's ever going to get for me.
So we should jump straight to Farscape, is what you're saying.
No, we set out to do a thing, we have to do the thing.
I also...
But I just, I'm really sad that it's over. I really loved this show, and I really loved the characters, and I really loved... Like, I wasn't sure what to think initially. I was worried about it, because it's so divisive, this show. A lot of people love it, and a lot of people hate it, and I now don't... I think the people who hate it are probably the people that hate every new piece of Trek, and think that because they were alive to watch TOS, that they somehow, like, are better prepared to talk about what is Star Trek and what isn't Star Trek. But, like, man, it's hard to imagine anything being better than this.
I mean, we've said before, there is, if nothing else, like, I don't remember Voyager that well anymore, but I'm looking forward to seeing as an adult. I know the Doctor's great.
Oh, yeah.
And Enterprise has its moments.
Enterprise was made for Chris.
Except
And
for
that
season
one
3.
woman who used to message us who fucking loves Scott Bakula.
She just loved Scott Bakula. That
Well,
was creepy.
It's a show
No, it is
starring
not
Scott
all, Liz.
Bakula. You know,
It
it was...
It is creepy. That woman's entire Facebook feed was Scott Bakula and missing children in Australia.
Oh,
Do we think the two are related? Was she feeding children to Scott Bakula and that's why they're missing?
She was feeding children to her model of Scott Bakula, which she made out of, like,
Other children?
yeah, and bits of hair she stole from him once.
Yikes.
Oh, yeah. She definitely has his hair.
Boy,
So
Oh,
what I
boy.
appreciate about Deep Space Nine,
Thank you, Liz. Keep us moving forward.
yes. Well, one, I'm glad that Caitlin came to love this so much because it's my favorite. It's my favorite Star Trek.
That's because you are correct, ma'am.
And rewatching it with my friends here at A Star to Steer Her By, it reminded me of what I really like about it because what tends to get the accusation that tends to get leveled at DS9 is that it steers away from the dystopia or the utopia of Trek. That's what it gets accused of being. But I'm even more, confident in my thought of it does the exact opposite in that it kicks the tires and it challenges and questions and scrutinizes the idea of utopia and what it takes to have paradise. I feel like it tells a lot of human stories. It's ironic to say with a bunch of aliens, but it's a lot of really human stories, really individual stories, and at the same time, like even I thought I would hate going into, especially watching it this time. I thought I would hate the Section 31 shit with Bashir, and part of me did. Part of me was like, all right, this is a little much, guys. But it's still it was still questioning, like the Starfleet ideal was still there, and it was just in Bashir who was fighting to uphold it. When someone like Section 31 or the Admiralty and other aspects of Star Trek are just like, no, fuck it, let's just do a genocide. Like, there's always going to be some human, because we're talking about human elements, a utopia that's driven by humans. There's going to be that negative element in there, and this is showing how sometimes, where the fight has to come in to maintain and uphold those ideals. I feel like that's it. Really, like, it questions and then reaffirms Star Trek to me. That's my thought.
It's a good thought.
It is.
I think, having now reviewed it in full as an adult, I think it's definitely my favorite of the 3 so far.
Oh yeah, by a leap and a bound, I would say.
Well, yeah,
Like looking, and I want to somehow get us back into just talking about the last season before we get into the whole show. But fuck it, we're already here. God damn it. But no, like the storytelling is amazingly consistent, and the characters, and not only are the characters all so well written and complete, but also able to change, which is not a thing that happens in any of the preceding Star Treks. But their relationships between them also are cemented and also have their own arcs of change, which I fully and entirely appreciate.
Yeah, but you gotta understand, going into this, I've been like, I remember loving DS9, but maybe my taste have changed or I misremembered it or something. So, like, going into this, I was firmly of, like, my favorite was still TOS. Even while acknowledging there's more good TNG than TOS, I still love the campiness and that, I love camp. But now, having gone through all 3, it's like, nope, definitely DS9 is better.
There's less camp in DS9, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I
goddamn it
think-
tries.
For me, Deep Space Nine, and I think I've said this to people before, that I think Deep Space Nine is far more consistently good than the other series. There are a handful of really bad episodes,
But it's really only a handful. You know?
and the ones that are really bad are really bad, and you notice them. But like even the ones that are not great or standout episodes are, very good and mostly memorable. Versus like TNG, which I would say I would go and say I think that the highs of TNG are higher than the highs of Deep Space Nine. Like some of those like episodes like The Inner Light, right? Like I don't like The Visitor might come close, but there are very few episodes of Deep Space Nine that really hit, I think, those particularly high episodes of Next Generation.
What I think about that, because TNG is way more episodic in nature, we think of the episodes very individually. Well, since DS9 is so much more serial, especially at the end here, and here's me wrapping it back into the season, haha, especially in the end here, where it's all really a continuation, that if an episode is good, it's because all the ones around it have made it good.
Yeah.
And not necessarily, because of anything special about that one specific episode,
and
because they're all part of a clump.
They're also, what's interesting also is, and I think this is where some of the criticism of Deep Space Nine comes in, is Deep Space Nine is not very sci-fi overall, I think. I mean, it's obviously, it's set in space, but I think what people didn't like about it at the time especially was that there wasn't a phenomena of the week. There wasn't a...
And when there was, it was often bad.
Yeah,
exactly. A lot of the one-off episodes that are just encountering some sci-fi thing aren't good. The good episodes, and this goes back to what other folks have said, are like the character episodes, like building the relationships and building, the backstories and making sure that O'Brien is sufficiently punished, and like those are the episodes of Deep Space Nine. I think that at the time, what people associated with Star Trek was Planet of the Week and like sci-fi stuff, which Deep Space Nine doesn't do as much of that, and when it does, it's not as good at it.
It's definitely much more of it's less sci-fi about, let's explore crazy concepts and more, let's use sci-fi as a metaphor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Which, not that the other ones don't...
Sci-fi.
Not that the other ones don't do that, but I think it's more what they did with this than the other ones did.
Where the sci-fi kicks in is not speculation of new types of life or new types of planets. It's the speculative aspect of it is... What if we had these different types of cultures and these different types of characters and experiences, many of which are analogous to real life experiences, are introduced because of fantastical elements or in this case, sci-fi elements, and what happens next? That's where the speculation comes in. It's different.
The whole of the Dominion War, isn't very sci-fi except for the fact that the people leading it are aliens. It's all very, very, straightforward storytelling that happens to take place in space, but they do it with characters that are established with cultures that you can see, you can see exactly where the Cardassians are coming from. You can see exactly where the Bajorans are coming from. Some goddamn weird place in the fire caves sometimes. Good for them.
Bajor is definitely a wonderfully complicated culture.
Glad they're not in the Federation.
Well, at least now their freaking corrupt space pope is dead. Maybe they'll be
dead.
That's one thing I gotta figure. No one knows what happened to her.
No, and there's no witnesses. It's just
she walked off with
WINN
DUKAT.
Disappeared.
Yeah, no one has any idea.
No, that's true.
Sisko knows. That's it. Sobor's dead. DUKAT's dead. Their pope just fucking disappeared one day.
Good.
And their emissary. Well, no, their emissary probably still communicates with them somehow.
Yeah. Anyway, should we do our...
we got a lot of things to talk about.
Do some tops and bots. Tops and bops.
Bop
tops
it.
and bops.
Twist it.
Cup it.
Flick it. Oh.
Well, which episode do you have?
I think I actually have mine ready for once.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, go, Caitlin. You want to start with tops or bottoms?
Oh, we always got to start with bottoms.
Do we?
Yeah. No?
Maybe Voyager will change it up.
Does that mean you actually want me to go?
I do want you to
Go.
go.
Go, Caitlin.
So go Caitlin, go. Season 7. Okay. Third worst, I guess. I put down the Emperor's New Cloak.
Ooh.
I don't remember why. I was reminding myself about plot synopses, and I didn't like that one. But I don't really remember it very strongly. A lot of the ones that I didn't like, I don't remember very well, to be honest with you, because it was just kind of crappy. But these other two are much more memorable. Take Me Out to the Holosuite.
Aw.
Because it's stupid.
Yep.
The end.
Definitely on Chris's favorite list.
Oh yeah, Chris loves that one. And I also I said extreme measures because I think that it stands out as the weakest link and biggest waste of time in an otherwise mostly well-paced 10-part series finale. It made no sense whatsoever to spend so much goddamn time on this. I mean, I get that finding
slammed on the brakes in this fucking 10-parter and said, "Wait, we have to do this now."
And again, like, even if they had just tightened it up so that it had, like, a solid B plot, I mean, we could have done anything else. Like, the reason why we don't, like, in my opinion, the reason why the Gul Dukat wrap-up felt so rushed is because of this episode. This is it. And it wasn't even a good episode. It was an episode, we've already done this. We've already been in 2 other people's minds. 2 other people? No, I guess
Many.
the Loxana's, just kidding.
Several.
The Loxana's mind was TNG. But, like, we've already been in Bashir's mind. And, like, we've already done this episode. We don't need to do it again. It's not interesting. It wasn't interesting the first time. It's not interesting now. It's a waste of valuable real estate. And for that reason, I feel that it is the fucking worst. There you go.
Nice.
Thank you. Who wants to go next?
Those are my strong feelings.
Those are some feelings. I'm having feelings with you, Caitlin.
Thank you, Ames.
My bottom 3, Field of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible attempt at Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yeah, it was bad, that one.
After Image, just an hour of 90s pop psychology.
Damn, you hate Ezri.
Which one was
to
that
death.
agan? Well, she sucks.
The one where she cures...
she and Andrew... What, she and Garrick are...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that episode
terrible
does
episode.
suck. Yeah, yep.
And Chrysalis.
Oh, good. I was hoping someone would say Chrysalis.
Because, you know, there's... Of the... You know, not only is Bashir inappropriate with a patient, but it's also got the extra added whammy of... Let's make neurodivergent people, like... fucking terrible little stereotype characters, and also let's put poor what's his name back in that terrible jumpsuit.
Poor Patrick.
Again, Patrick, thank you.
Yeah.
Poor Patrick.
Like just it's like so many bad things crammed together into a pile of awful.
And you're telling me by the 24th century they don't have some kind of technology to holster the man titties? Patrick really got fucked. I'm just saying, he got played.
Poor Patrick.
So yeah, fuck
Poor
that
Patrick.
episode.
Do you want to go or shall I go, Jake?
I guess I can go.
Do it.
Because I don't have anything new to really add, because my bottom 3 are The Emperor's New Cloak.
Yay.
For being the Mirror Universe and just sucking at it. I mean, I just don't like the Mirror Universe. I just don't.
Yeah, and that's a particularly bad one.
It's really bad. It's really dumb. It's got all the dumb shit. It's got Vic as a flesh and blood
as a
person.
fucking person, yes. Why?
For no reason in particular, just to get killed.
Just because Ira thought it would be funny. And
Don't worry
fuck you,
about it,
Ira.
Pally.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I can have fun with Star Trek, but I mean, it just wasn't well done. I'm also going to include Field of Fire for reasons previously stated, and Chrysalis for reasons previously stated.
Yep.
Dishonorable
All
mentions for Take Me Out to the Holosuite and Bada Bing Bada Bang.
Oh, you didn't like Bada Bing Bada Bang.
Wasn't that the
That's the heist
heist
one.
one?
That was the heist one.
I think the heist one's okay because it's at least the
A good
pacing.
heist
The pacing
episode.
is very, very good, and the music's excellent, and nothing.
Yeah. Well,
like,
that's why
aside
it's not on
from-
my list.
Yeah, aside from the fact that let's take a break in the middle of very important shenanigans to play video games. Cool, good job, guys. Speaking of, let me talk about my list of wasted opportunities and wastes of time. Oh God, fucking Field of Fire. Fuck that episode to death.
So bad.
Let's rewrite the trill 15 more times. Let's decide Duran is a psycho.
Yep.
And it's all of it is just inconsistent and dumb.
Yep.
Extreme measures, because Section 31 wouldn't have been this stupid, and that wasted more of our fucking time. But the biggest waste of time this season was Take Me Out to the fucking Holosuite.
Wow.
And here's why. Take this episode, take Me Out to the Holosuite. Don't change a single line except like the word Holosuite. Put it in a realistic bound show, and it's the same exact episode because none of it is Star Trek.
Yeah.
Not a single thing. They don't make use of the fact that they're in a holodeck. They don't make use of the fact that they're in space or that this is sci-fi or that they know new technologies. Nope, we're just going to do a baseball episode because Michael Piller liked baseball.
They got rid of the crowd in the holodeck.
They did, that's true. That's
Vulcans.
literally one line.
The other team was Vulcans.
The other team could have been like Russians and it would have been the same show.
Would have been Rocky 4.
Baseball.
It was never important that they were Vulcans. The only thing that was important was that they were good at baseball.
Well, also that the Vulcan pissant bested a human in a feat of strength when he was obviously at an advantage. So, fuck that Vulcan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
he's
that
a
Vulcan.
Racist piece of shit.
But what about Liz?
What about Liz? I forgot about Field of Fire, but at the same time, between Field of Fire, so like my criteria basically was that episodes that there were episodes that like Field of Fire and Extreme Measures where I was like, this should not be a whole episode, but I'm entertained, so I'll go with it. But instead, two of the three episodes are episodes where I was actually just like groaning and shouting at the TV. That includes. Well, so first of all, actually, I'm going to start with The Emperor's New Cloak for aforementioned. Like, it's sort of similar to Caitlin, where I'm like, I can't remember. I remember some points in the plot, but like, I just remember being bored. Like, actually being bored with a late season DS9 episode. I'm like, this should not be happening. Like, I keep forgetting to pay attention because I'm not interested in this. And that, to me, is a sin. Then there's Penumbra, because just Ezri and Worf, that whole, like, the hate fucking thing. I'm like, I already hated seeing it with Odo and Kira. I hate the trope in general because it's overused and very rarely used interestingly, and like it did not need to happen. There was no need. We had other plot to happen, and why was this happening? So fuck that. And then I'm going to jump on the Chrysalis train because that episode was just a hot fucking mess. It was just the worst. It was very unfortunate. To say
Bad
the least.
Julian. Julian stuff.
It was bad. It was bad. It was unethical medical practices. It was just normalizing all sorts of horrible mentalities and attitudes toward neurodivergent people. The psychology stereotypes. It was just all a problem. No, thank you.
Yeah, Julian, this whole season was like a backstep because, he does all this shit.
Oh, God,
he murders Sloane and receives no consequence.
Sloane activated a suicide device.
Yeah,
Julian tortured him into it.
Well, I was gonna say it isn't even so much he killed Sloane. It's the fucking immoral, dark, evil things he did to him after he was brain dead. I mean, that to me is the greater crime. I mean, Sloane did make a decision to activate his suicide, whatever, but Bashir was like, oh, well, I could hook him up to this space battery and see what I can get from his brain. And that's not fucking good doctoring.
And
that's some fucked up bullshit.
Yeah, he was doing it to save a life.
That's not the Julian Bashir we've seen.
I know, it just seems
symbolism. He was mad.
At Sloane. For just existing.
Mm-hmm.
But there was also some good stuff this season,
Yeah, what are
the
tops? What are your tops, Caitlin?
Oh, actually, it's funny, actually. I was saying that I was all ready, but I just realized I only marked 2 good ones.
Follow your heart, snap decision.
And one of them I'm sort of not loving as much now. I'm having a real lot of trouble. I think I would say I really liked Bada Bing, Bada Bang. I don't feel like it belongs in the top, but so much of the beginning of the season was kind of eh.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And so much of the end of the season is hard to sort of pick apart.
Yeah.
I think that it makes it difficult. So I guess I would say I will allow Bada Bing to sit as the least goodest episode, only because for reasons of like not being able to make a better decision. I thought It's Only a Paper Moon was fucking phenomenal. And it's like for everything that was bad about the pop psychology of some other episodes, this one felt good. I loved getting a really nice Nog-centric episode. I liked seeing him deal with like a real fucking thing that is, I mean, this was 1999. We had no idea how relevant this sort of PTSD coming home with your shit all blown off was gonna be to us in a couple of years. You know what I mean? I mean, like, obviously, the US wasn't exactly not known for getting involved in shit, but we were about to get way more involved and put a lot more people at risk. And I just think, anyway, regardless of any of that, I thought it was a great episode and I really enjoyed it. And then I would say of the episodes that I feel that of the final 10 that did feel really good, I want to say the changing face of evil, because I feel like that's kind of like when we start getting the WINN and DUKAT, but she doesn't know it yet, but she's like admitting to him like the fucking prophets, fuck those guys, and like she was always a great villain. And when she finally admitted that the prophets, that she didn't give a shit about the prophets and that she'd never felt it ever, and fuck those guys, it was when she reached just the highest level of good villainy. And I think, honestly, WINN in a lot of ways was the rock star of the end of this show, because she just went all the way, dialed it up to 11, and I loved it. So I think if I had to pick an episode, it would be that one. Though with definite honorable mention to the very final episode, because like I said, even though the pacing wasn't as good as it might have been, and the DUKAT wrap-up was kind of bullshit, it made me cry for many minutes, and I like my media to make me feel something, so good for it. It did.
That's definitely fair.
Chris?
So what I've got for season 7, tops, I have, well, first, an honorable mention for WINN's subplot in Strange Bedfellows. That's when she finds out, oh shit, he's working for the PAH-WRAITHS, and she has a crisis of faith, and she goes to Kira for help, and like, that all is great. But then everything else is like Worf and Ezri hanging upside down, and fuck it.
Which he would remember fondly in his last episode for some reason.
Exactly.
So like, that's
and
what
no
keeps,
one else.
like, WINN stuff in that episode, fucking amazing. Rest of the episode, hot trash. So, actual tops. Take me out to the holosuite.
Of course.
We knew it.
Because it was fun.
Times arrow.
This means I need 2 different fucking screen grabs of it.
No, you could use the same one.
I'm not going to, though.
Oh, fair enough.
The Siege of AR-558.
I considered using that one. That was a great episode.
Some dark shit.
Yeah.
And it's only a paper moon.
It's a good episode.
It's a damn good episode. Eisenberg works his ass off.
And it's definitely the best use of Vic, I would say. It's like
only
you don't
good use of Vic.
Yeah, you don't feel like, God damn it, is Vic still here? For the first time ever, you don't feel like, God, is Vic done yet? So, no.
Mr. Jake.
Okay, so here are my tops. Once more, Unto the Breach.
Which one is that?
That
It's
is
core.
That is core.
Oh, that's the core one.
That's the core one. Yeah, I don't know. I really like that one.
It's a good episode.
I think
I considered it.
It gives a lot of background on Martok and Klingon shit, which you know I love.
I don't know. You love Ferengi shit, Jake.
That's true. Well, you'll see that in my next. No, no. I mean, yeah,
the Emperor's New Cloak is in both of these
like
lists.
that one.
He's like Prophet and Lace, best episode of the entire series. I know we're not there yet, but
I think it's a fitting send off to a character that's been around for a very long time on the show, in one way or another. All right, next up, the Siege of AR-558.
damn good.
Yeah, damn good. You know, war story, not glorifying war, but telling it like it be. Great use of a Vic Fontaine song.
No. Excuse me?
Lying.
No, I mean, of the times Vic Fontaine's songs have appeared in the show, I thought that was a nice one. I don't know.
Well, the way it was
I
echoing.
disagree.
It was eerie and weird.
Yeah,
and
it was
scary.
haunting.
Yeah.
I think it was distracting because they should have been listening for the enemy.
And then my last one is going to be Treachery, Faith, and the Great River.
Yes!
Our friend Wayun 6. I really liked the Wayun 6 and Odo plot. And I actually really appreciated the kind of silly, frivolous Nog and O'Brien B plot of that episode, trying to get whatever it was they were, whatever MacGuffin they wanted.
Self-sealing stem bolts.
Yeah, and having to trade a bunch of other shit to get it.
Cisco-sized desk.
Oh, the desk.
Yeah, and when the little tiny unpainted desk showed up, it was fun. It was a good episode.
Yeah, that was also under consideration for me.
Yeah, I considered that one too. And I think the only reason that I didn't go with it is actually because it had so many similarities to the self-sealing stem bolt episode, even though it was years later and just Nog and etc., but definitely still a great episode.
Yeah. I consider that episode. And it's also number 3 on my list.
Hey, segue.
And it's almost entirely just because the WINN plot is fascinating to watch, and Jeffrey Combs dies beautifully. What of all of the WINN deaths, of which there are many, this is like the most like beautifully done WINN death. Good for him. Number 2 is It's Only a Paper Moon. Only good use of Vic, but also just some excellent work by Aaron Eisenberg. And I'm gonna side with Caitlin here and say The Changing Face of Evil is fucking stunning to watch.
Heyo.
It's mesmerizing to watch DUKAT and WINN getting on with their bad selves, and I love them.
Yeah, they're definitely a evil power couple. I love it.
Oh, is it my turn?
It is.
Yep.
It's time for Liz.
Okay, well, I'm gonna throw out my honorable mention first, and it's also The Changing Face of Evil. Though for different reasons, I enjoyed watching Kai WINN and DUKAT, as I described my feelings about that whole arc, but they're still fun to watch. But for me, it was building up to Damar's call for rebellion. Like,
Ooh, also good.
I knew it was coming, and I was still sitting there like, yes. Now, do it, come on, Damar, come on! And then it happened, and I was very happy. But that was my honorable mention. I also included in my top 3s, It's Only a Paper Moon. And I'll also throw out the Siege of AR-558 for similar reasons, because in all of these pop depictions of wartime and soldiers coming home, like, I felt like this was a very well-grounded depiction of trauma and recovery from it in just the ordinary ways that don't usually get depicted. They're usually just overdramatic, so I really liked that. And then my third top 3 was Tacking Into the Wind, which particularly because of just I loved Kira's arc, and I loved all the Cardassians and, you know, the taking back everything, but very much like that episode with Kira and Rusat.
Is that also the one where Worf kills the fuck out of Gowron?
Yes.
Yes.
Aha.
I say yes because Jake
also
says
nice.
yes.
Yes, that's the same one.
That is.
Jake
that
follows
part,
Klingons specifically.
I specifically do not.
And Ferengi. Remember.
Because for that part, I'm like, this is not a practical system, you know, like basis of government, and I have problems about this. But like, okay, I appreciate the maneuvering that's going on here, and this is just. But for me, it was very much about Kira being just a fucking rebel leader and getting her moment to really shine and stick to her principles and just be this, you know, steel-jawed warrior. But while at the same time, I believe this is also the same episode where Garrick realizes what's up with Odo, who's trying to hide his condition from Kira, and Kira just fucking knowing, but just being so principled and so dedicated that she's just, you know, and also her compassionate reason for not telling Odo she knew, like all of that. I just ate all of that up. That I thought that was just a really amazing episode to watch. So that's probably my number 1 of the season, really.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nice. Right.
Well,
We'll
shoot.
move on to the
That's it.
Very interesting
overall?
season since it starts off with like a lot of here's a lot of stuff just happening, and then a 10-part finale.
Yeah.
Then we're just gonna fucking hop on the serial train all the way to
Yeah,
the
it
end.
was hard. It would be really hard for me to pick out one episode from the 10-parter. If I
me
if
too.
I
It's
was
really hard.
forced to, I'd probably say Tacking Into the Wind as well. But
I
Yeah,
was determined to pick one from the arc. I was like, I gotta pick one because the whole thing was really fun to watch, but I need one.
Speaking of the whole thing,
Oh, that whole thing.
Oh,
There's
this
a lot
whole
of
thing?
this thing.
the whole thing.
Oh no!
Shall we stick with the order? Or do we mix it
Yeah,
up?
I think stick
Oh,
with the
no.
order.
No.
Oh no! I've got
No, let Caitlin
6
go
top
last.
5s.
No,
Okay.
Caitlin can't go last.
Second
No,
to
Caitlin, go
last.
first.
Caitlin has to go first.
This is bullshit. Why? What
Because
did I do to deserve this?
Follow
The
your
prophets have
otherwise
spoken.
otherwise you're just going to take what we said.
Oh, fuck. Well, you got me there. Problem is that I have what I always have, which is that it's hard for me to really remember very far back. I currently have a list of 7 that I know I didn't like. And of course, my most recent did not likes are the most memorable. I can say without any hesitation that the fucking worst was Prophet and Lace, I think. Or certainly one of the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I would absolutely put Extreme Measures up as one of my least favorite as well. Because too much like Distant Voices, which consequently is also on my list.
Yeah, it was. It very much was. In all the wrong ways.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough flying balls.
I think even after all this time, I still have to give it to Meridian.
Whoa.
For
One was Meridian?
that's the one where Boys,
Oh, man.
the original Boys.
Oh,
episode.
yes.
Because
gonna go
what
off and
the
finish.
actual fuck?
That was under consideration for me, yeah.
Yeah. And then so the last three that I'm looking at here, trying to figure out the finish. I think ultimately my answer is Fascination, which is the one where Shakar goes from bad boy to bitch.
Oh.
And is like, "Do you like me, Kira?" And it's stupid.
That was also under consideration for me.
That wasn't Fascination, though.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, no, it was
No.
Crossfire?
That's Crossfire.
That's what I meant. Crossfire, then.
Okay.
Crossfire is the one I meant.
I mean,
Sorry.
I was going to say, Fascination is also garbage.
Yeah, Fascination was on my list
What's
as
Fascination?
a consideration. I don't remember because I thought it
Fascination
was
is the
because I
one
thought it was
where
Crossfire.
It's where Luoxana's horniness is contagious.
Oh yeah, that one sucks. That one sucks a lot.
Yeah, Crossfire was under consideration for me.
But it's
too.
hard for me to condemn anything that Luoxana was in because I love her. The other one I thought about was Let He Who Is Without Sin.
Oh, that one, yeah. That's another
Because-
bad choice.
Yeah, it's a
Worf is
bad
such a
episode.
goddamn
Wait, so what
dildo
are your
in that.
actual 5 then?
I think what I've settled on is Prophet and Lace, Extreme Measures, Crossfire, Distant Voices, and Meridian. I think I'll settle at that. I don't necessarily think that it means that they are in fact the worst 5, but they are the ones that I remember disliking the most. Which is not necessarily the same thing, is it? It's not necessarily the same, but it's a similar enough metric
It's
that
a
we'll take it.
subjective list.
That's valid.
Yeah. Thank you, Liz. God damn it, thank you.
You're valid.
I love you, Liz. Thank you.
So my bottom 5. Rivals, which barely featured any of our cast because Prince Humperdinck showed up with a probability machine.
Oh yeah, that fucking stupid episode.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Racquetball. Don't
We
forget
saw a
racquetball.
lot more of O'Brien than I wanted to.
That too.
Who is the unluckiest?
4, Fascination.
Ugh.
Like, wow, way to undo all the work you've done with Luoxana since half a life. 3, Prophet and Lace.
What, wait, number 3? Are you fucking shitting me?
Wow.
What's
2,
worse than Prophet and Lace?
Tears of the Prophets.
Damn.
Mostly because, like, the episode was mostly bullshit, and then Jadzia's death was bullshit.
Oh, it
It
really
was just so much bullshit.
Lots of bullshit.
And 1, Distant Voices.
Oh,
So
yeah.
bad.
You really hate that one.
Distant Voices, the reason it's number 1 automatically is because it was the only one I knew would be on this list before I had to look back at the list of bad episodes.
Listen, Chris, you're
Prophet
just
and
jealous
Lace, though.
because you're so old. You're such an old man. So past your prime.
True. I am well past it. I'm turning 30 in a world where people regularly live well into their hundreds. Shut the fuck up,
Clark is
Julian.
doing an English accent in my head for reasons.
Oh, that episode. It really just, like, I mean, I recognize that morally Prophet and Lace is worse, but for some reason this stuck with me
Like
more.
you said, it's a subjective list. You have your own criteria for what you hate.
Ugh.
Speaking of, Jake hates a lot of things.
I do hate some things. Well, I hate Field of Fire.
Wow. This much that it got all the way to the end.
Yeah, it
It is bad.
just
It's a
real
bad one.
It's real bad.
It's
real
really bad, yeah.
And in fact, I had made my bottom for the series separately from I made my bottom season 7. And I somehow had originally forgotten to put Field of Fire on my bottom for the series without putting it on my bottom for the season. So like
Kind of had to, yeah.
That's funny.
I had to fix that.
Again,
But
different criteria, thoh. Like, in a season, there's
possibly.
different criteria.
that's true. But no, Field of Fire definitely deserves to be on both lists, in my opinion. Rivals.
Hey.
Hey, Rivals is just stupid.
Oh, God, yeah. A waste of a good actor in a shitty role.
Yeah. Let he who is without sin.
Nice.
Yep, that's a bad one.
Yeah, Worf's a bitch. Prophet and Lace.
Yep.
Oh, wow. And then number 2 spot? Or are you going in any
mine are in no
order?
particular order.
Okay, sure.
These are all equally on my list. So Prophet and Lace and, of course, Distant Voices.
Dude.
We all hate Julian's long balls.
I mean, we do. We do.
Yikes.
And speaking of hating Julian's long balls, like...
Oh my.
Like, this was the harder list for me to assemble for some reason, and I think it's because when I rank... Or really, I grade the episodes as we kind of watch. And I had a lot of episodes that I'd put in the same bracket of badness. And I really, really want to, like, give... What's the opposite of shout out? A shout down. I'm going to shout down at fucking Ferengi love songs and Take Me Out to the Holosuite, because they're both really fucking bad, and I hate them for very specific reasons. But of the what is the worst episode... My number 5 slot's going to go to Distant Voices.
Oh, yeah.
For all those reasons, we're in Julian's brain, dicking around, and everyone is just a figment of his imagination that represent one of his character facets, because that's how anything ever works. Fuck Distant Voices. I'm a little surprised no one else has had this next one on their list, His Way. Fuck His Way. Bad episode, introduces Vic amongst 80,000 songs. I was done with His Way within minute 1 of meeting Vic.
I didn't consider it for my overall, but I did consider it for my season 1.
Well, that was last season.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Then I considered it for my overall then.
You considered it for season 7 as well, for some reason.
It was so bad,
that-
it bled into
yeah.
season 7.
Like, because even though Vic doesn't bother me as much as everyone else, like, the whole thing with how he gets Kira and Odo together is gross.
It's toxic. It's
So
I forgot all
upsetting.
about that. Yuck!
It was definitely under strong consideration.
Oh, God. I forgot all fucking about that. Gross.
Damn. All right, yeah, so I have to do a shout down at His Way. That one's on my list. The other 3 are all the F grades, and I know how much I hate these because I fucking hate Fascination because it's real dumb.
Yep.
I hate If Wishes Were Horses with
That's a
every
bad
fiber of my being.
Yeah, that was a strong contender.
That was...
It's an episode in which they have... They come up with why this thing is happening, and then they come up with an alternate reason for why this thing is happening, and both of them are correct even though they cancel each other out, and I hate it.
It's like you said, Jake, DS9 was not as good at Anomaly of the Week.
Yeah, when it tries to do a real sci-fi thing, it just falls on its face.
Yeah, but the worst, because it's just so offensive in basically every way it can think of, is Prophet and fucking Lace.
Terrible episode.
Awful. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Absolute
Huh.
shit.
That's
hey, Liz.
funny. I've just got Prophet and Lace listed 5 times. It's weird.
That's a good list.
Yeah, okay, so Prophet and Lace at the top immediately. That was the first one. Like, as I was still, like, opening up this document to create it, I was like, Prophet and Lace is going to go on this document. It's going to be Prophet and Lace.
Yeah.
Because, holy shit, that entire episode was painful to watch. So, Move Along Home is on my list.
Oh, wow.
Eller
Moraine.
Moraine.
Because... That also was like after Prophet and Lace. I'm like, no, I still hate Move Along Home more than most.
It's bad. It's real bad.
It's just it hurts to watch. Like that's my criteria. Is like, if it was, hey Liz, we're gonna sit down and watch DS9 episode. It's gonna be Move Along Home. I would be like, no, thank you. I will gouge my eyes out with a melon ball and throw myself out the window. And that should not be happening when it's a DS9 episode, so no thank you.
And then the PA rates will give you your vision back for a reason.
But we won't tell you why.
I'll just walk in, it'll be fine. I just bumped a couple off just in thinking about this while you guys were talking, so I cheated a little. But
You're the guest, you're allowed.
yeah, also, like, I realized I neglected to put one on, from this past season. Chrysalis belongs on my list. It's just so everything. Why are all these creepy episodes? I know why are all these creepy episodes, but it was wrong. Everything about it was wrong. There was so much wrongness. His Way did make it onto my list.
Good, thank you, Liz.
Also for wrong, like if it's creepy, it's on my list. If it's if it's just dudes, don't do this. Stop doing this. It's on my list. Speaking of which, so A Simple Investigation
that
is
one.
on my list. Because
that's the one where Odo did the fuck, right?
Yep.
I rolled my
Gross.
eyes so hard through the whole thing. I was reminded of this going through my old notes from past episodes, and just something about like wanting to be dead. The dead can't cry. I was just like, oh right, that's right. No, this is going straight onto the list. This whole episode, it's like someone dug up their high school attempt at a noir story, and we're just like, yeah, let's make this into an episode. Why not? Dishonorable mention to Let He Who Is Without Sin, Meridian. And I also almost put Little Green Men on the list. Just wanted to
Oh yeah, it is bad.
put the little dig in
There's
there.
so much
It's got
Umox.
Dog Odo, though.
Absurd amount of Umox.
Too much creepiness.
So much smoking.
A lot.
Is there sexual predation in your episode? Nearly makes it on my list. It's going to make it on my list. Anyway,
Thank you, Liz.
thank you.
Caitlin, you got some tops?
I once again have like a big list, and I have 4 that I know are definitely the case, and like 6 that I think one of them is, and I don't know which it is.
Well, just tell us which one it is instead of telling us all of them. Make
I know.
a choice.
I'm trying to figure it out. If I have to make a choice, I will say Blood Oath,
Oh, yay.
Oh.
because we get to see our old friends, and we get to hear Core say trans lives matter. I think that was that episode, wasn't it? Or was it a different episode?
Yes.
I think it was
Yes.
that episode.
Yes.
So fuck yeah, Blood Oath. There you go. I made a decision. I also say Rejoined, because I don't think it was the most remarkable episode, but I think it was some of the best acting we got out of Terry Farrell, and it was definitely a turning point when I really started to appreciate her as an actress. And God, this last season has taught me anything. It's that it definitely could always be worse. It could be Ezri Dax. So I miss Terry Farrell so much in this end of the series. Rejoined, yeah. Captive Pursuit, which I think
Tosk.
when we first talked about that season, I neglected Tosk, and I won't now. I
You
think
didn't
Tosk.
neglect Tosk.
I thought I
loved
did.
Tosk.
No, but I thought that I didn't put him in my top.
No, you did. I have the list written in front
Oh,
of me.
did I? Oh, good.
Everyone put Captain
good.
Pursuit on their
Well, I
list.
still think so.
Yeah.
I loved Second Skin. It was another one of those great episodes where we got to see Kira sort of being a fucking badass. That was the one where she was, they were trying to convince her that she was a Cardassian
Yeah.
and that she had been missing and all this. And I loved that. And I loved the relationship she was able to build. And I don't know. I loved it. And I guess this is no particular order, but finally I think I've settled on It's Only a Paper Moon being up there as well.
Wow.
Again, I thought it dealt really well with a really serious subject, and I thought Aaron Eisenberg was absolutely fucking beautiful. Aaron Eisenberg, is that who I meant? Yep. Great. Who's the other one? Isn't there another actor who's an Eisenberg?
Not in Star Trek.
It's show?
No. In like the Social Network or some bullshit.
Oh, it's
Jesse Eisenberg, thank
yeah.
you. I always think that I'm saying the wrong name, and it's because of Jesse Eisenberg. But yeah, I just, he was so good. It was really beautiful. That's all. There you go.
So for me, we got our boy Tosk, Captive Pursuit,
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Duet, which was
Nice.
Kira and the guy pretending to be a guy he wasn't
Eamon Maritza.
because he felt the Cardassians needed to pay. In the Pale Moonlight, because everything about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Only a Paper Moon, and The Visitor.
Wow.
Good choices.
I feel like there's some big missing episodes, but I also know this was a difficult decision for you guys.
It was super hard.
is
There
really
were
hard.
Yeah.
there were so many options, and whittling it down was fucking hard.
The Visitor was definitely an honorable mention for me, but I think, and I know that it's like sort of a fan favorite, but it was just, like, I thought it was good, but I don't think I was quite as impressed.
Like, not putting Far Beyond the Stars on there was hard,
Yeah, same.
but
Well, what will Jake say though?
yeah.
Jake will say. So I also have a list of 6, but I have to make a game time decision here.
One of them's an honorable mention.
Don't tell us which one. Just tell us what it is.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the 5 that I choose, and it's going to be Duet, Second Skin,
Yeah.
Captive Pursuit.
Wow. A lot of early season stuff, early episodes.
The Quickening.
Ooh.
Good.
The Quickening. And The Visitor.
Word. No pale moonlight from Jake, huh?
No Pale Moonlight. Yeah,
Fascinating.
and if I had to give an honorable mention, my honorable mention would be Children of Time.
Ha.
That's a good one.
See, I've known my list for a long time now because I rank as we go, and it was very obvious when they were all in front of me, like, oh yeah, these are the 5 because these are the 5 that are A's. And those 5 are Captive per fucking Suit because I am Tosk. Hard Time, some excellent O'Brien work.
Considered that one. Yeah.
Oh man, no one else said The Wire, and I fucking love The Wire.
That was on my list also. The
That-
Garrick episode.
That was one of the, like, 20 minutes to showtime. I had it whittled down to 8. And that was one of the ones that got sacrificed.
Wow. No,
It's such a great episode.
I ranked The Wire A+. Love that
So
one.
good.
I have 2 more A+ to share. One is Far Beyond the Stars, which is excellent and needs to make this list. God damn it.
Thank goodness one of us did.
Good. I'm glad it was me. And finally The Visitor, because hot fucking shit The Visitor.
Yeah.
Well, damn.
How many
So-
are on Liz's list? How many is your list whittled down to, Liz?
I managed to. I
Ferengi
just
love songs 5 times.
I shuffled some things around. I marked my favorites. I marked the final candidates in bold. I had to unbold. I realized I had 6 bolded. I was like, this is the problem. No, so all right. I'm going to go with what I've got right now. But I've got a whole bunch of honorable mentions. I will just rattle them off. I'll rattle those off right now. I'll rattle just real quick. My honorable mentions, in no particular order: Trials and Tribulations, Tacking Into the Wind, Far Beyond the Stars, Our Man Bashir, Progress, which is Kira having to move that stubborn farmer, Waltz, which is
Waltz
Dukat
was on mine too.
having a breakdown.
yeah.
Waltz is so good.
Waltz is
Children
good.
of Time, and In Purgatory Shadow / By Inferno's License, that was a 2-parter because, like, Garrick having a terrible time, in the camp.
Oh,
like,
that's the claustrophobia
yeah.
one?
yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. This was a very difficult list to make. Those were all my honorable
It was.
mentions. My
That's a
top
lot.
Beautiful.
5, I'm locking in. I'm going to just final answer are going to
Final
be
answer.
In the Pale Moonlight, Indiscretion, which is Kira and Dukat and
Yeah.
Finding Zial.
That's a good one.
Loved their interactions. I loved the questioning. I love anytime Kira is just like, hey, yeah, remember when you oppressed us? I love it. I love how unabashed she is. The Visitor, The Wire. So it's on my list saying you're not alone.
There we go.
And I think Chris already said it. Duet.
And Jake.
And
also
Jake.
said
Oh, and
Yeah.
Jake. That's it. That's right. And Jake.
Duet actually might be my top episode of the show.
It's a great episode.
If I had to
really is.
If I had to pick a top 1, it might be Duet.
Mine
God,
would
this
definitely
was,
be In the Pale Moonlight, but Duet is up there.
this was so hard.
This was, I mean, that says, like, when I
wanted
look at my
10
top
so
and bottom
badly.
5s, my bottom 5 list was not nearly so agonizing.
No.
Like, the bad ones just floated to the top. Like, those were just like, okay, these are the isolated bad ones, and there's not a long list. But
Damn, I
For
was
top
so
list?
the opposite. I
Really?
knew my tops because I have very specific tastes. In that, like, a lot of the stuff that you guys like for your own personal reasons are not my interests.
fair.
So I knew, like, immediately, like, these are. I knew months ago these are my 5. It was the bottoms because I also have very specific reasons why I hate episodes.
Are Ferengi in them?
Yeah, I was looking for more Ferengi to add. I was like, oh man, I only rated that a D+. It's got to be worse than that.
If I can just really quickly, the only one that wasn't mentioned by any of you that was on my honorable mention list for the top was Nor the Battle to the Strong.
Oh, that's also a good
yeah,
one.
that I
I
almost
think
put that on the list.
that's the one with Jake and Bashir in the middle of the war zone.
that's
a great fucking episode too. And again, it started the tradition of not showing war as like some glorified thing.
Yeah.
You know, it sucks.
Yeah,
The show handles trauma pretty well.
yeah, it really does.
Not claustrophobia, though.
Less well. That one
Not
less
any
well.
of the
But not-
Trill's past lives.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's a little less relatable.
Well, thank you once again for joining us for A Star to Steer Her By, this final episode of Deep Space Nine, or is it? We have finished the series, but we will be watching the documentary about making of Deep Space Nine, What We Left Behind, is that right?
Yes.
We're also going to take a tiny little break from Star Trek. We're going to venture back into the world of Star Wars and finish talking about those films, which means my days of saying, I've never seen Attack of the Clones or Clone Wars or whatever the fuck that piece of shit second movie is called, my days are numbered. I won't be able to say that much longer. I too will understand the hatred of sand.
Thank God. And don't forget, we've also got our fanfics on the way.
That's right. D Space Nine fanfic. So we'll live on two more Deep Space Nine centric type episodes. But we'll be back soon, like I said, and we will be starting Voyager soon. So if you like what you heard and you want to hear more, you can find A Star to Steer Her By where all podcasts are sold. We are on Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also find us and interact with us on Facebook.com by searching for A Star to Steer Her By. We are at SSHB Podcast on Twitter and Tumblr, and you can visit our website, SSHB Podcast, where you can find great shit like, I don't know, the summary of Season 7 and the whole dang series of Deep Space Nine.
How many screen grabs of fucking baseball episode will I show?
So many. Well, 2, I think. Oh no, maybe more, right? Did anybody make it to the? Did anybody make it to the top or the worst?
I tried. It came so close.
Well, yeah. We'll be back next week as always. Special thanks to Liz for joining us again for this wrap up of Deep Space Nine, aka the greatest Star Trek ever made.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yay, Liz!
Come again soon, please.
Don't mind if I do.
The greatest Star Trek ever made is going to be our fanfics in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I can't wait. I was also like on the edge of my seat while Caitlin was deliberating over which characters to take.
Oh man!
Oh really? Yeah.
You made the right decision in the end.
I think so too. I'm still not really sure what I'm gonna do. Oh, kind of. We'll see. I'll write it in the last 12 hours before we go live, and it'll be fine.
No.
As always, I have been Caitlin.
I have been Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
And this is Liz.
And
Liz.
I'm not doing this.
I don't know what's a good rule of acquisition.
War is good for business. War is bad for business.
Here we go. Rule of acquisition. Last episode of Deep Space Nine. All that you take with you is what you leave behind.